Welcome back, folks, to Macau for the UIM MotoSurf World Championship, the Melco style Grand Prix of Macau. It's finals day here on the beautiful Colaine Island shoreline, and we are right into the action, starting a little bit earlier than originally scheduled due to a couple of delays yesterday. The juniors finally have their second heat, and they're having so before 9 a.m. this morning, so we're already under starters' orders. Sara Zubarova leading the way on a very much colder, more miserable, slightly grayer day than we have had in the previous running of yesterday's broadcast. It's a little muggier, a little grayer this morning. The weather is not exactly on our side. We're hoping that the rain stays away for the entirety of the program, but it might not be that fortunate for us. We're just going to do the best we can as the juniors, as you can see, are already facing a little bit of light rain as we get ourselves under starters' orders. Jake Sanson here in the commentary box as we are currently on the third lap, and that race leader on the first race of the day, Sara Zubarova, has fallen from the lead on the third lap of the first race. My goodness me, the drama has already started before we've even had a chance to draw breath. There is Sara Zubarova in the lead, and it just washes out completely. The board just gets out from underneath her, and she was leading going into lap 3, and it's just all come unstuck for her before they've even gone to the long laps. They have 5-lap races in juniors, plus 2 long laps whenever they choose to do. So Sara Zubarova is getting herself back together. And look, she's actually readjusting the foot bindings while she's on the long lap. That is commitment from Sara Zubarova, trying to get herself back into as good a position as possible. So she's currently following in behind one of the other opponents that's decided to go for the long lap at the same time. That now leaves this man, Zheng Jinghao, leading the race in the junior category. 2 titles within one, of course, because we have junior boys and junior girls in the same breath. Now, Sara Zubarova deciding to take her long lap nice and early after that fall. That could actually really benefit her. We need to see how much of a difference that's going to make to things. Oh, and Zheng Jinghao's gone down. It looks like Zheng Jinghao, the race leader, has also had to avoid another rider going down. So it was actually not Zheng Jinghao that went down. It was the rider just in front of Zheng Jinghao that went down into the water. So Zheng was able to take avoiding action, but had to miss a boy to do it, I do believe. So a very tricky start to the race then in the juniors. You can see how choppy the waves are by comparison. Let's have a look. So look, Zheng Jinghao having to get out of the draft there, hand in the air, as the rider in front completely loses ground. And as a result, look, there's 2 riders down, in fact. So that's 2 boys that essentially had to be missed there for Zheng Jinghao. But the reason he's able to get past that is because he's able to hold his hand in the air and say, look, there's nothing I can do. I can't use the racing line. So as long as the hand is in the air and they've acknowledged the situation, it's not so bad. But look at how choppy the waves are. You can tell that the weather is a lot more difficult than it was yesterday, because the waves are already fairly choppy at this early stage of the morning. And these are the toughest racing conditions that these youngsters will have ever had to face here. Sara Zubarova getting herself back into form again. But this is a completely different race circuit compared to yesterday. And of course, in this world, in MotoSurf, the racetrack changes lap after lap after lap. It's never the same race circuit twice. So these guys having to... And that's another fall. Is that Zheng Jinghao? That is Zheng Jinghao this time. So unfortunately, Zheng Jinghao did run out of luck. It looks like everybody is vulnerable at this point of the course. So everybody could well be having at least one fall through the course of this race. Let's see how he did it. Through the red boy. Back on the throw. Oh, see, that was a very big wave there on the exit of that particular turn. And there was not a lot he could do. The wave caught him out. So Zheng Jinghao recovers. And as a result, we're in for a really intriguing battle for the rest of this race. Arm in the air again for Zheng Jinghao to avoid somebody else. In fact, I think that might be an original fall. I think the rider has pretty much stayed there. It's very tricky conditions. Sara Zubarova also having to basically inform everybody, look, I can't get through that without ease. She's gone for the long lap for the second time. But look how big those waves are around the long lap. They are so much bigger than they were yesterday. So it's no major surprise that we're seeing so many riders fall. It is very choppy compared to yesterday. All it takes is a little bit more wind, a little bit more rain, and all of a sudden the race circuit becomes treacherous as you like. So Sara Zubarova doing the best she can to recover. It's going to be tight to know who's actually going to get the lead back again. I think Zubarova might actually be back in the lead of the race now, because after Zheng Jinghao went down, Zubarova is not the only one to have fallen. So everybody's had at least one plummet into the waves at some point in this race. But she's recovered quickly. So I think in terms of her consistency, she might have actually been able to get herself back into the lead. They're on the final lap. 5 laps and 2 long laps for the leaders. But there is Sara Zubarova in the parallels now. She's a couple of seconds ahead of Zheng Jinghao, who obviously had his own fall. So I think Sara Zubarova has got away with that one, despite a fall on the 3rd lap. But the treacherous nature of the second, and that's another fall for Zheng Jinghao. That's the 2nd time. But Sara Zubarova is going to just carefully edge her way to the finish line. Excellent work for Sara Zubarova in the end. She may have had a fall on lap 3, but she recovered well. And there is Zheng Jinghao, who will come through. Oh no, Sara Zubarova was not the winner in the end. It was actually Adam Kolar. But Sara Zubarova does win in the female category, of course. As Zheng Jinghao just manages to cross the line in front of Lin Ruyang. So Sara Zubarova takes the maximum 18 points, but she doesn't win the race overall. She finishes 2nd overall. It's the number 3, Adam Kolar, that takes the victory overall in the boys category. So it's 2 wins out of 2 then for Adam Kolar. He'll be absolutely delighted with that. There is Laura Markova. She came home in 3rd position. Much more difficult to read the races in these tricky conditions. You can see how tough the cloud cover is. There's a little bit of rain in the air as well. Now it is actually starting to rain properly. We only had spits of rain yesterday. Now it is actually raining. So 18 points go the way of Sara Zubarova. And she cruises in exactly the way I would have done it. But the victory goes the way of Adam Kolar, who was 5 seconds ahead of her. So it's the racer in number 3 shorts, Adam Kolar, that comes through for 18 points in junior boys and 18 more points for Sara Zubarova in the girls. Normally we would have 4 heats over the course of a weekend and the lowest score would be dropped. But we only have 3 heats per championship this time because of how busy the schedule is. And as a result of that, none of the heats scores are going to be dropped. So the maximum amount of points you can still score in a race weekend is 72. And Sara Zubarova certainly looking good for that at the moment. 18 points from her race yesterday, 18 points from this one today. The same fate as Adam Kolar. But as you can see, slightly nervy on the way back in because everybody's really struggling to find their feet after what has been a very tough race out there. So we're going to look back over some of the scary emotions in this race. Pretty much everybody had a slip-up or 2. Here's Sara Zubarova, despite winning the junior girl Heat 2. That little tumble obviously cost her a bit of time, and ultimately the win of the race. This was Zheng Jinghao trying to avoid somebody in the early stages. I think that might have been Wang Zhixuan dropping down into the waves there, having to avoid 2 boys. This is when Zheng Jinghao lost it. Oh, so difficult with that big wave that really turned the tide with the board already on 10% contact patch with the water. So there was never any chance of Zheng Jinghao being able to save that one. But it's Adam Kolar who takes it from Sara Zubarova. Laura Markova 3rd from Zheng Jinghao. Then Lin Ruyang, and then it is Li Jimeng. Rosalia Janora in 7th place for Poland. Maximilian Hiroshka in 8th position. Then Zhang Rushan, Yang Junhao, Huang Zhixuan, and then it is Oliver Wolf in 12th position. The first race of the day then, showing us just how tricky the circuit here at Koloan Island is going to be for the entirety of the morning session. We've got the continuation of Heat 2 for Juniors Group B and then the Masters, and then we'll go into the 3rd heat of rotation in the women's, the stock and stock rookies, the elite for the Brinks Cup, the juniors and the Masters. Then we'll have our break. The briefing for the finals will then continue for all of the contenders, and then we will have our finals, starting with the juniors, the Masters, the stock rookies, and then the stocks, who will have their own separate races, of course, this time. Then the women's, and then the elites. So we're getting our way then to the closing stages of this 2024 UIM MotoSurf World Championship season here in the Melco style Grand Prix of Macau, what is already becoming known as Macau's 2nd Grand Prix. The first time ever that this championship has ever raced in Macau. Not the first time it's ever raced in Asia, because the last time it visited this part of the world was in 2019, when the last event was in China. But Macau is not exactly far away from China. It's just a short bus ride to the city of Hong Kong, and then only a little way further to get to Zhuhai, which is the nearest city in mainland China. So a fabulous battle awaits us for all of the contenders. It's going to be a really exciting battle in what is the special administrative region of China. It has some fascinating derivation to it. Cantonese, Portuguese, and English are spoken here. Many different places to go and visit, including the Fisherman's Wharf, the ruins of St. Paul's, the Grand Prix Museum, and the Gear Fortress. Plenty for people to do. Every May, the locals here enjoy the Feast of the Drunken Dragon, a fabulous party for all of the people here in Macau. And of course, 2/3 of the land here in Macau is actually reclaimed from the sea. So, fabulous country with amazing people. 710,000 population in just 12.5 square miles, roughly. And it has the 4th highest living expectancy in the entire world, Macau. Oh, someone's gone down on the warm-up. So who is that that's dropped it before we've even started to race? Slight issue there with the key having to go back into the throttle hook. But certainly the first start is not going to be an easy one, and that is the number 7 that's gone down into the drink then. That is Nico Sawangwan, still a very new rider to the world of MotoSurf. So not exactly easy to get up to speed. Careful, just get the things back together. There we go, the youngster there, Nico Sawangwan, learning about how tricky it is in these choppy waves the hard way. I would not mock any of these riders for going down at this point. There are the starting positions for Group B Heat 2. Kristina Hybkova and Lukas Schneider, Barbara Kolodova and Sebastian Kosteleczki. Then Ryder Sawangwan from Stanislav Kohut, Nico Sawangwan, Enda Jorgenchila, and then Yuan Liwen, An Jihan, and Gao Jin. So the 12 riders in position, ready to charge forward to the first turn. They go round the far side of the long lap, and off we go. A beautiful start from Lukas Schneider, already drawing level and potentially going ahead of Kristina Hybkova. But Hybkova gets a perfect line to the inside, and that is what's going to hold her position for the moment. Watch out for Barbara Kolodova to the far left. Thought she had an opportunity there to go for Lukas Schneider, and as they work their way to the parallel for the first time, it's all going beautifully well for Kristina Hybkova. But watch on the right side of your picture. Lukas Schneider decides to go left in the parallels when Hybkova goes right. One of them's going to emerge first, and it is going to be Hybkova. Nicely done then from the leader in the junior girl, ahead of the leader in the junior boy. Great battles between these two. They want to try and stay well clear of the white water as much as possible. Not easy when you're following in single file formation, but there could be a couple of cheap moves here, and that's a very nice run between Sebastian Kosteleczki and Enda Jorgenchila. One of them is very close to going in the drink there. In fact, that's actually the B shorts. That is Gao Jin, desperately trying to stay upright. Very tricky in the choppy twists and turns, but well held there by Gao Jin. As your leader, Kristina Hybkova, still just making sure she can work her way through 1 or 2 corners at a time, just taking it nice and easy. Some good battles in the early phase, and it looks as though Barbara Kodorov's got the confidence to run close to Lukas Schneider. So they work their way through the twisties, nicely done. On the far side of the course, staying to the left of the red boys. Now they work their way through to the parallels again. Hybkova definitely looks like she's got confidence, but so too does Lukas Schneider. Schneider might just be able to push his way forward here. Obviously, there is a big advantage to going the opposite direction to your opponent in the parallels, because you want to stay out of the white water draft as much as possible. But look at the rain on the camera lens there. You can see how much trickier it is today than it was yesterday. Adverse weather conditions really make this sport a proper knife edge, and this is great work from Kristina Hybkova and Lukas Schneider up at the front end. Barbara Kodorova still there in third from Ryder Sawangwan, then Gao Jin, Sebastian Kosteleczki, then Yuan Luan, Stanislav Kohut, and Nico Sawangwan, and in the drink that is Lukas Schneider. So Schneider, following close in behind Hybkova, has made his first mistake of the day, hopefully his last, but it's so easily done. Watch again, following in the white water, he just trips over the yellow boy. So easily done. Very tricky there for Lukas Schneider. He's upright fairly quickly, and he's only lost 1 position. I think only Barbara Kodorova got ahead of him, as on the long lap now, there is your leader. There is your new leader, Barbara Kodorova, who didn't take the long lap on the same time as Kristina Hybkova. And obviously they've got to take 2 long laps in the space of these 5-lap races. So for the moment at least, Barbara Kodorova looking comfortable as she comes out of the parallel, right in front of the path of Yuan Liwen. Now, I'm not sure if Yuan Liwen also didn't take the long lap. I'm thinking probably not. If so, then Yuan Liwen has already been lapped. So it's going to be a fascinating situation for the contenders, as there is Kristina Hybkova. There is Barbara Kodorova, still leading for the time being. carries the number 14 on her shirt, but in race number, she is number 3. The number that the riders race in each individual heat is denoted by their shorts, not by their shirts. Their shirts is like their signature race number, but the race number is on the shorts. That's why we don't have double digits for the shorts. We could go up to 10, 11, 12, but it'd be far too confusing because the numbers are printed 4 times on the shirt, on the front of each leg and the back of each leg, and that's a fall again, right in front of Barbara Kodorova. So Barbara Kodorova had to take avoiding action there of a fall in the long lap. So Barbara Kodorova managing to get away from that, now chasing down Stanislav Kohut. So that was a very close call there for Barbara Kodorova, but she was very wise, took a deep breath and made sure it wasn't going to be a problem. Let's have a little look at it. So Kodorova following in the wake of Nico Sawangwan, and unfortunately Sawangwan goes down. So Nico Sawangwan, still very new to the sport of MotoSurf. That was well taken by Barbara Kodorova, and now she's trying her best not to trip over Stanislav Kohut. But she's obviously having to work very hard. She goes into the parallels. Now she needs to really commit here. Stanislav Kohut clearly holding her up at that point. As into the parallels now comes Kristina Hubkova. Out of the parallels, I should really say. Now we're going to see another replay. This is the 5. That's Ryder Sawangwan. So both of the Sawangwan siblings have now got into the drink at some point. That was a very fast one too for Ryder Sawangwan. I hope he's okay. Certainly looks as though he's up and running again. That's Barbara Kodorova, still chasing down the 6 of Stanislav Kohut, and under pressure from Sebastian Kosteleczki. Oh, bit of a trip up there from Kodorova, and she was frustrated. She slapped the ocean on the way through the corner there. So there is Kristina Hubkova. She takes the long lap for the 2nd time, and just as well, because this is the 4th and final lap. Well, that was the 4th and final lap completed, I should say. This is the 5th lap. So on the long lap for the 2nd time, and so too on the long lap for the 2nd time is Barbara Kodorova. And Kodorova trying to chase down Kristina Hubkova, but Kristina Hubkova has been so strong through this race that she has been able to reclaim her lead. So Kristina Hubkova just taking it nice and carefully through the final few corners. Kodorova in 2nd position. For those who are not sure whether women can compete on the same terms in motorsport as the men, well, in MotoSurf they certainly can, because we've got girls 1 and 2 ahead of the boys, Sebastian Kosteleczki, Gao Jin and Lukas Schneider right now. Excellent work from Kristina Hubkova and Barbara Kodorova. Another one in the drink. So that's gone very badly wrong indeed there at the parallel. But fortunately, Kristina Hubkova is wise to it, knows to avoid the problem. Works her way through the twisties, and this is going to be an absolutely perfect ride from Kristina Hubkova. Not a bad one from Barbara Kodorova, but she wasn't quite able to match the pace of Kristina Hubkova, championship leader. She will come through and get 1 step closer to winning the Junior Girls Championship World title. There she goes. Beautiful job from Kristina Hubkova. Perfect race victory, and she's loving the moment. She enjoys herself as she crosses the line. There's Barbara Kodorova, 2nd place, and that'll be 14 points to the good. She'll be happy with that. So Kristina Hubkova, very happy indeed to take the victory for the 2nd time this weekend. And Sebastian Kosteleczki is the one that comes through for the 18 points for the junior boys by finishing 3rd overall. So excellent work. Kristina Hubkova just drinking in the moment as she rides in parallel there with Enda Jorgenschila, who ends up a couple of laps down in the end. But Barbara Kodorova finishing behind Kristina Hubkova. And I'm fairly sure that puts Kristina Hubkova a stone's throw away from winning the title. So let's go back and see some of the highlights from that 2nd junior heat. This was the big one for Lukas Schneider. Very unfortunate to see him drop back, and that drops him all the way to 4th position in junior boys. So he's lost a lot of points in that fall. Then poor Nico Sawangwan losing it in the long lap. In fact, I'm actually told that Lukas Schneider finished 5th in junior boys, so he lost a lot of time in that race. There's Ryder Sawangwan's fall, and that was a big one. He actually got some air time before he went down there. So there was not a single patch of contact with the board on the water in that one, and that was fairly nasty. So Kristina Hubkova taking the win then from Barbara Kodorova. Sebastian Kosteleczki in 3rd place, taking the victory in the junior boy category. Very nicely handled to finish that one off. Fourth place for rider Sawangwan, then Gao Jin in fifth position ahead of Stanislav Kohut. Lucas Schneider, seventh overall, fifth in junior boy. And then Nika Sawangwan in eighth position. Yan Liwen, An Jihan, and Enda Jorgen Schila finishing off in 11th position. There was one non-starter from the race, I do believe. And if my notes are correct, oh no, my apologies. All of the contenders in Group B did take the start, but there were only 11 in Group B as opposed to the 12 that there were in Group A. So back into the action again for the Masters. These are the two races that were basically curtailed yesterday. So now the Masters get their chance to race for the second time. Group A sees Kim Down of Korea along with Jiří Blaha of the Czech Republic, his countrymen Jiří Stovacek and Roman Kojon, the Belgian star Jano Vankersbilk along with the Canadian Anthony Mastroni. For the Czech Republic again it's Radek Lučka, for Japan it's Paul Tori, for Korea it's Yang Chan-ho, for the Russian Federation it is Vladimir Maslenikov, and then Yun Jin for Korea at the tail of the field. 6 laps in the Masters, 2 long laps once again. So it'll be a fascinating situation again for our contenders as they get themselves ready for another exciting duel out on the course. And of course, with the Masters pretty much being sealed yesterday by Kim Down, these races now for the second and third heats are all going to be about keeping it upright. Of course, none of the dropped scores come into effect in this race because normally when there are 4 heats, you drop your worst score. Because of the busy schedule this time, we only have time for 3 heats per racer, and that means that the scores will all count to their championship points tally this time. 18 points for every race win, including the final. So it's important to be as consistent as you possibly can through the races. The contenders get their boards up to speed, trying to get some pace generated through them at the moment. Important just to get a little bit of speed through the board before you actually stand on it, just to get the engine warmed up. But these engines are very impressive bits of kit, 100 cc's, so obviously around the same sort of power output as most go-karts, but it's a 100 cc engine, 11 horsepower on average. Now that doesn't sound like a huge amount of horsepower, but when you consider that these boards only weigh 30 kilograms, that's incredibly quick. That's a lot of power. Power to rate ratio is insane, and these guys can reach a top speed of 70 kilometers an hour. So it's incredibly brave stuff that is needed to work at this level and to race competitively up at the top of your game in this particular discipline of motorsport. And that's what makes it particularly entertaining. Very exciting indeed. So now we're going to get to see all of these contenders putting on another brave show for the second heat in Masters over the course of this fantastic weekend. So all of the contenders just getting themselves into their V. So now it's going to be a really exciting battle. And now we're going to get to see if all of these racers have the opportunity to push for the victory. So now we're going to watch them all in position. They're just getting everything warmed up at this point. So through the contenders are now ready for a very exciting push. How tough is it going to be from this moment on? We're going to see just how hard the riders can work. They're building up the speed, getting themselves into the V again. And it's all going to come down to the pole sitter, Kim Down of Korea. Once Kim Down forms them up into the V, it'll be up to them. No practice starts now. They only get that in the first heat. So they will go straight in for racing from this moment forward. But look how choppy the sea is today. Goodness me. There's some big waves coming up towards the shore, and that's going to make this race circuit absolutely mad. It's already one of the toughest circuits in the championship calendar. First time they've ever raced in Macau for the World Championship. But what's also worth pointing out is that this is quite a slow lap. It's a long lap, but it's a slow lap. There's a lot of very tight corners for the riders to face. So they're having to be very tactical about how they take certain corners. And of course, the other thing to note as well is that it's very physically demanding. The weather today is not perfect, so the waves are making things very tricky, very treacherous indeed for the riders. So our racers are lining up in position. 1, Kim Down. 2, Jiří Bláha. 3, Jiří Stovacek. 4, Roman Kozon. 5, Jano Vankersblik. 6, Anthony Mestroni. 7, Radek Lučka. 8, Paul Tori. 9, Yang Chen-hao. A, Vladimir Maslenikov. And B, Yun Jin. So the jet ski riding around the far side to give them the cue to start. But it's all perfect pace at the moment from Kim Down, just trying to make sure everybody's in position. Looks relatively good at the moment in terms of how they are riding in position. Once they get the signal, they'll dip down and start accelerating. They get the command, and we are in race mode. Fantastic start from Kim Down, and Jiří Bláha is going to try and draw level on alongside him as they go around the far side. Kim Down gets a very tight trajectory as he runs through, but Jiří Bláha is shadowing his every move as they head up to the parallels for the first time. Tied in on the inside apex. Is everybody going to make it through? Look at how choppy the sea is on the way through to the parallels. We'll be, two contenders collide with each other. One's gone into the water. Another one has gone in further round. I think that might even be Jiří Bláha that's gone down. So Jiří Bláha, who was in second position, I think is in the water. Yes, he is indeed. So it's 1, 3, and 5. Oh my goodness! Jano Vankersblik going absolutely end over end as he gets the wrong end of the wave there. So 3 incidents on the way through the parallels in the first lap. So Jiří Bláha definitely went down. We can see for ourselves that Jano Vankersblik had a big moment as he went through the wave there. We're going to see it again. So this is the first moment. Oh, just 2 clattering into each other. All goes badly wrong. There's Jiří Bláha, seconds later, having his moment. And then we're going to get to see, hopefully in a short while, Jano Vankersblik in one of the most spectacular incidents of the weekend, I have to say. Not only did he lose the board completely and go into the water, but he actually went end over end. You don't see that too often in this sport. Mark Andrews, the Team Canada racer, was telling me that he's the only person to intentionally backflip in a MotoSurf competition of event of any kind. He's actually managed to successfully backflip a MotoSurf, but nobody else in the paddock has managed to do that. So it's something that he feels is quite a hallmark of excellence, and I don't disagree. But that was very nearly a backflip from Jano Vankersblik. Very scary moment indeed. Now watch Jiří Stovacek. Here it is. Now watch the second rider get some air, and that is horrifying. Well, he's very lucky that he hit the water at the angle he did, because that could have been a very nasty injury indeed. But Jano Vankersblik comes out of that with no issues. They're made of stern stuff in the world of MotoSurf, and they need to be, particularly when it sees this choppy. That's another fall. So who is that this time? Getting back on the acceleration to try and move forward. It is, once again, it's Jiří Stovacek. So another big-name rider going down. Let's see how he did it. Stovacek running in second. Oh, it's getting loose, and he gets a face full of Red Boy. Keeps it upright, but then it goes down again. Very probable loss of time there for Jiří Stovacek. So we've lost Bláha, Stovacek, and Vankersblik all in one go there in the space of a couple of laps. 3 of the big names in this particular heat falling into the drink. As oblivious to it all, Kim Down is just trying to stay out of trouble. The man who took victory in the title fight in the Masters yesterday. So this is now the battle for P2. We're watching Anthony Mestroni, the Canadian, and the man who was in second, Jiří Stovacek. His fall has dropped him down to third position. But if you're Anthony Mestroni, keep it cool, keep it chill. You've got a second position and 14 valuable points in the bag here. I think both of them have actually taken their long lap for the first time. There's now Kim Down taking his. So the long lap basically puts them on the charge to go flat out. Top speed on these boards, 70 kilometers an hour. It's incredible to think, isn't it? That they can go that fast over the water. Jesus walked on it. These guys can dance on it. Having an absolutely spectacular run. Kim Down just hesitating a little bit there, but does the right thing. He gives himself a bit of breathing space to lap Yang Chen-hao and even puts his thumb in the air. Thanks, mate. You didn't trip me up. That'll do. So Yang Chen-hao being respectful of Kim Down. Race leader, lapping him nicely there. Now this battle for second really is getting exciting as they make their way towards the long lap. What's happened to the number 3? He almost comes to a stop. Oh, right, so 6 and 3 now take the long lap together then, but they were being held up. So an interesting one there. Well, if we look at the two riders in connection there, that's 3 and 6 together on the long lap. It looks to me as though there was a bit of a hesitation from Anthony Mastroni, and now he's going to get the inside line. They're going to go side by side down the long lap, and Mastroni has got his way back into second place. Nice bit of racecraft from those two there. They were following in the wake of Yun Jin. So Yun Jin was having a bit of a moment going into the long lap, and both riders hesitated. So that was Stovacek's chance to get into second, which he took. And Mastroni said, no, I'm not letting you have that. I'm going to get you straight back again. So into P2 once more. He managed to navigate his way into that position once more. So Kim Down. And there's another rider in the long lap that's gone, as Kim Down doesn't need to go for the long lap this time. 6-lap race, of course, in the Masters. So he can take his second long lap. In fact, I think he might have already done it. As there is the number 6, Anthony Mastroni, just taking his time. Goodness me, the sea looks choppy. They're in the parallels, and he is not pushing this further than he has to. With the rain coming down, with the wind being high, you do not want to take too many risks. And seeing how many top-level riders in the Masters have already fallen, Blaha, Stovacek, Vankersbilt, Anthony Mastroni is not taking any risks. He doesn't have to here. He runs very neatly. Up on the outside as Kim Down puts a lap on Yuri Stovacek. That was incredible commitment from Kim Down. He's going to lap the entire field in this race. Absolutely incredible from Kim Down, who now goes into the last lap. But because Mastroni and Stovacek are being careful, they're cruising. Kim Down is still pretty much at flat-out race pace. I think Kim Down is going to lap the entire field. He's on the white flag lap, so he's on his last lap. But Kim Down is approaching Anthony Mastroni to lap him. So I think he's actually going to lap the whole field once this is all sorted. Absolutely phenomenal ride from Kim Down. But surely he's got to take the long lap for the second time. He does indeed, as too does Anthony Mastroni, interestingly. So Kim Down has been so strong over the course of this race, and so many people have fallen behind him and then realized they've got to be careful, that Kim Down has just dominated. He's going to win by a lap here. So Mastroni just taking it nice and carefully. He wants to finish second place. There's no point risking it. As we watch the 9 there, that's Yang Chan Ho, and down into the water goes the number 8. So that is Paul Tordi, the Japanese rider. Kim Down is not rushing this. He doesn't have to lap Anthony Mastroni. He's got a chance to, but I don't think he'll take any risks to make it happen. So he follows in behind, and right behind him, that is Jano Vankersbilt. That shows you that that big fall of his earlier on was clearly not that big an issue in the end. Going to see another replay just before the end here. Oh, that's gone very badly wrong for Yuri Stovacek. His second fall, and he wasn't the only one. So both of them went together there. So Stovacek falling for the second time. He's going to be lucky to finish in third place, as Kim Down will finish this race with care rather than aggression. This has been the most physical race of the weekend so far in Masters. I think he will get Anthony Mastroni before the end at this rate. But no, he's not going to push it. What's the point in pushing it and taking a risk? Kim Down is just going to chill out here and bring this home. 41 seconds ahead of Roman Kojon in the end as he cruises across the line. Victory for Kim Down. No need to risk anything. No need to push too hard. And so Kim Down gets the win. So with everything all even and fair, I think Roman Kojon and Radek Luchka have actually managed to creep their way into second and third after Mastroni and Stovacek's trip through the long lap. So let's double check it, but Roman Kojon, I think, is crossing the line now ahead of Radek Luchka. So they're going to be promoted to second and third. What a crazy race that was. So many incidents with the sea being very choppy. No wonder, because the rain has got heavier. It's intensified. And obviously when the rain gets heavier, the wind gets up. When the wind gets up, the waves get nasty. And that was one of the toughest, most physical races you're ever going to see in Masters MotoSurf. So Kim Down takes the victory by over a lap, I do believe. Anthony Mastroni was about to complete that. Well, maybe actually Roman Kojon and Radek Luchka are just about going to complete it. Look at the weather. It's really deteriorated here. Look at some of these incidents in the early stages. There is one big fall. I think that was Radek Luchka And then down seconds after goes Jiri Blaha. Now watch for this one. This was nasty for Jano Vankersbilk. Oh, so nasty. The board actually lands on top of him on impact with the ocean. This was Jiri Stovacek's first moment. Oh, head first collision with the boy, and then the board has already gone under the water. So it was inevitable he was going in the drink. And this was the nasty one later. Look, he tried to get a fast move on the inside of Roman Kojon, and it didn't work out. Kojon actually fell on the final lap of the race as well there. So he lost a lot of time. But still, incredibly, Roman Kojon was able to come through to finish in second place, nearly a minute behind Kim Down. So he didn't lap the whole field in the end, Kim Down. Kim Down took the victory in front of Roman Kojon, then Radek Lučka in third ahead of Anthony Mastroni, Jiri Stovacek fifth in front of Jano Vankersbilk, and then Yang Chen-ho, Jiri Blaha, Vladimir Maslenikov, and then we had Jun Yin. Sadly, we had one retirement from that race, and that was the Japanese rider, Baltori. Well, look at the weather conditions. The officials have now got to make a decision here because obviously the more the weather conditions become choppy, the more treacherous it gets for the riders. But the Masters should have no problems facing them. Staying upright is going to be tricky, of course. And of course, falling off the board is the equivalent of, in motorsport, obviously competitors spinning off and going off the circuit left, right and centre. We've got a similar situation here in Masters as, goodness me, that looks pretty tricky for the riders getting themselves back in again after a tough old race. That was Radek Lučka finishing off in third position, but my oh my, as he had a tough race. 6 laps of this course in these weather conditions, not easy at all. So in we will go to the second of the Masters races, Group B, and that's going to be a very competitive race indeed. But based on what we've just seen, I have a feeling it's going to be a bit of a lottery again, because we saw yesterday falls for Faltasek, for Kostoleczki, and of course big drama from Kim Yong-bum yesterday as well. So I've got a feeling we're going to see some really interesting tactics in this second Masters race. The Group B riders make their way out onto the waves. This is going to be tricky. Petr Faltasek and Denny Kostoleczki on the front end. Then Kim Yong-bum and Arkadiusz Janora, Michael Ular and Roman Lichel Kradishvili. Then Ivan Morosek, Murat Jorgenschila, Stanislav Ganichkin, and then Kim Do-woon, Kamil Schneider, and Ungi Cheo-hong. So the riders make their way out. It looks like one of our Macau wildcards has actually elected not to compete in the races despite qualifying, and that was Su Li Chong. So just one racer in the whole event representing Macau, and that is Ungi Cheo-hong. So as everybody gets themselves up to speed, look at the rain now. It's getting really nasty out there. This is just about as horrible as it gets for the Masters to go racing in. It's not so much the rain that's the problem. They can cope with the rain. It's not an issue, but it's the waves. That's the biggest problem that comes from these weather conditions. When the weather deteriorates, the waves get bigger, they get choppier, they get tougher to cope with. Because, of course, when the wind kicks up in a storm like this in bad weather, the air oxidizes with the waves on the top and there becomes more white water. It becomes more tricky, more slippery in terms of keeping the board upright. And it just creates more and more drama, more and more incidents. You always want a clear, perfect summer's day. You do not want rain and you do not want a windy day like this one. These are the worst possible conditions for MotoSurf. But the Masters, over the age of 40, they've got plenty of experience, a lot of them, to be able to cope in these sort of treacherous conditions. There is Denny Kostoleczki. So Denny Kostoleczki hoping that this is going to be a fairly straightforward affair. And there is Petr Faltasek, the man who leads them around in pole position. You can see the number 1 on his shorts. It's printed 4 times so people can see it clearly. Twice on the front leg, twice on the rear leg. And that's why we don't have double figures 10, 11, 12 in the numbers, because obviously they would be much harder to read than single digits. So that's why once we get to 9, we go up to A, B, C, and so on. There is Arkadiusz Janora, the Polish rider, just pulling up alongside Murat Jorgenschila, the Turk. So it'll be a very interesting run for all of the competitors now. They've got to go round again to form up for this V. So tricky in these conditions. The waves definitely making this a treacherous course now. And as we keep mentioning, in the world of MotoSurf, the racetrack boys are in the same position every time they go around, but the race circuit itself is different every single lap. No 2 laps are the same, so it makes life incredibly difficult for the riders when they think they can take a corner at a certain angle at a certain pace 1 lap. On the 2nd lap, they'll suddenly find that there's a wave in the wrong part of the turn, and they will get chucked off. Very, very tricky to stay upright. The balance and the discipline is everything, and it's why we see quite a few riders at this point just being conservative. Just getting through the turns will be enough for them. Valuable points scored in this 2nd heat, especially when this weekend we're not having 4 heats, we're having 3. So every single result counts, not just in terms of the weekend score, but in the championship score as well. So Peder Faltasek just keeping a watching brief on the riders as they run and form up together in position. Are they going to go racing this time? They're going to go round again. Oh, frustrating. And again, Peder Faltasek has to now guide them through in a perfect V formation. I say a perfect V formation. It's as perfect as it can possibly be in these choppy conditions. But the rain is definitely taking its toll now on our course here at Coleraine Island in Macau. The furthest south in Southeast Asia that MotoSurf has ever been racing. They've raced in China before, but that was 5 years ago, before the worldwide pandemic. So great to see them back in Macau once again. This is a beautiful city as well. We've had an opportunity to see a little bit of it over the course of the weekend. A city that's twinned with Sao Paulo in Brazil and Monte Carlo in Monaco. They call this place the Las Vegas of the East. And I wonder how many riders will have a very successful night in the casinos after the hard work today. So hand in the air again for Peder Faltasek. Don't forget, you can download the Brinks TV free-to-play app on your smartphones, keeping an eye on who will win each of the heats through the course of the day. You can make your predictions, put your bets in. And of course, we'll be live on Brinks TV for the finals later this afternoon. Hand in the air for Peder Faltasek. Then Denik Kosteleczki, Kim Jong-bum, Arkadiusz Janora, then Ula, Lichel Kratishvili, Motosek, Jorgen Schiele, Ganichkin, Kim, Schneider, and Unger. And we're going to go racing this time by... Now we get the command, and we're racing. What a start from Kim Jong-bum. Again, lightning out of the blocks and has surged his way past both of the front men. Excellent from Kim Jong-bum, but he nearly drops it on the way out of the first turn. Making their way down to the parallels. A little bit of onslaught from Peder Faltasek, who switches from left to right in the attempts to try and get under the skin of Kim Jong-bum. He decides to go left as Kim Jong-bum goes right in the parallels. And as they work their way through, the sea has never been more choppy in the parallels. This is going to be tricky. Can Kim Jong-bum sustain the lead here? He does for the moment in front of Peder Faltasek, and right in behind them, that looks like Arkadiusz Janora in the Polish shirt. So a very tricky start to this race, and a mistake from Kim Jong-bum. He's got out wide, and he's lost 2 positions already. He's lost the starting line as well. Oh, hang on a minute. I think Kim Jong-bum thought there was a practice start. He just bailed out of the corners, and he's handed the lead back to Peder Faltasek. Oh dear, somebody didn't read the regulations closely. Kim Jong-bum has sacrificed the lead. He came off the turn, because yesterday, of course, they did a practice start in the first heat, but it was only meant to be for the first heat. They're still in race conditions, and Kim Jong-bum is now behind Arkadiusz Janora. Big mistake from Kim Jong-bum, just getting completely off the throttle, and as a result, thank you, says Peder Faltasek. Cheers, dears, says Arkadiusz Janora. Straight through in a second position. And Kim Jong-bum has now got to do so much hard work to get it back again. I think he's actually taken the long lap. That's probably the best tactic under the circumstances for Kim Jong-bum. So the Korean falls out of the play for the moment, but he'll come straight back into it when the time is right. Got to be so careful in these tight, twisty sections. The waves can really catch you out when you're not prepared for it. There's a lot of balance needed. Oh, the back started to lean over the kneecaps there for Peder Faltasek. He was in very dangerous territory, poise-wise, but he had the discipline and the composure to get it back. He just lifted off the throttle. The body weight transferred, leaned over the kneecaps again. He was able to keep that upright. But that was such a close call. Oh, someone's in the drink. So that's gone very badly wrong there in the parallels. Now, who's that that's fallen? I think that might be Kim Do-woon. So a bit of a moment there for one of the Korean competitors. This is the Czech, Peder Faltasek. rides officially as number 3, but in this race, of course, he is number 1. And there is Kim Yong-bum trying to get himself back up to speed again. Working his way through the twisties. He's going to be kicking himself for that mistake at the end of the first lap. Led comfortably, but then suddenly realized, oh, it's not a practice. This is the real deal. Whoops. Now let's have another look at what happened earlier. There it is. So Kim Yong-bum has basically sacrificed his position. Everybody's gone through the start-finish line. He's missed the start-finish line completely. So a big mistake then for Kim Yong-bum, who clearly felt this was a practice start, not the real thing. But it is the real thing. Sorry, Kim. Well, as everybody else is now well up to race speed, it's very tricky to pitch your way through whitewater. Even the leader now is getting caught up in the traffic of other riders. And you do not want to be stuck in whitewater for long because it's so much choppier, so much more tricky to balance the board. So they work their way through. We're going to see another replay. What's this? This is Kim Yong-bum. Is he about to go into the drink? Oh, he is indeed. What a save, though. Oh, my goodness. What a save from Kim Yong-bum. You could not do that a second time if you asked him to. That is the save of the weekend. Any other rider would have been straight into the sea spitting out salt. But that is absolutely fantastic from Kim Yong-bum. Great recovery. So up to the parallels comes our leader. Oh, and into the drink goes Ganichkin. So Stanislav Ganichkin with those beautiful Martini Racing colours. Clearly a fan of the old Porsches at Le Mans. But a real unfortunate incident there. So we're now waiting to see if Arkadiusz Janora can continue to put Petr Faltasek under pressure here. So we're going to see the replay. This is how it happened for Ganichkin. Oh, so easily done. Murat Jorgenschila able to avoid it. But that was very, very tight. Now look how much pressure Arkadiusz Janora is now able to give to Petr Faltasek. He's closed right up on him. The pole is taking on the check here. Up to the far side, looking good for a long lap here. Look how tricky it is to stay up right there. So both riders really feeling the pressure. Heading towards the long lap. Faltasek's going to take it. So too is Janora. So they can continue their rivalry on the charge down the back straight. Top speed of 70 kilometers an hour potential to reach on these boards. Don't think they're going to make it in these choppy waters. But still fairly rapid. Faltasek still leads. Where's Janora? Oh, there's a fall in the water. And the board is already drifted well clear of the rider. So that's a fairly nasty one. That is Kim Yong-bum. Well, very unfortunate indeed. But it looks as though Kim Yong-bum has had a very dramatic fall indeed. There is Arkadiusz Janora. Oh, my goodness. I thought he saved it. But it was not going to happen. That is one of the most dramatic falls you're going to see. So here's Kim Yong-bum's. Oh, an absolute tank slapper. Very nasty indeed there from Kim Yong-bum. And then we just saw Arkadiusz Janora do the same thing. There's his chances of victory gone for a burden. So let's see if this man now, Petr Faltasek, can just cruise home. And there is Kim Yong-bum being recovered. I'm not sure the board is erasable until at least race 3. Very unfortunate there for Kim Yong-bum. So the marshals have taken him back to the shore. Let's see what happened to Arkadiusz Janora. Here we go. Through the right. And suddenly he gets big airtime. Here it goes. Completely unintentional. Whoa. Big airtime. And the crash happened so slowly after that. But there was never any chance of saving that. If you got airtime that big under those circumstances, you were never going to rescue that. White flag for our race leader. Look how difficult the weather is now. Rain really coming down. But Arkadiusz Janora still doing the best he can to shadow Petr Faltasek. 12 seconds between them. Faltasek leading the way. Janora in second position. But it looks as though he's getting frustrated, sat behind traffic. So there on the long lap for the second and final time is Petr Faltasek. 12 seconds ahead of Arkadiusz Janora as they came through the line that time. But Petr Faltasek is the only rider really in this race that hasn't had a single error. He's just got to keep it nice and tidy now for the last moment of the race. Careful, careful. You've got traffic in front of you. Do not fall now. Do not fall now. Oh, that was close. Getting caught in behind Kim Do-woon. So a bit of a moment there for Petr Faltasek, but he read the situation well. Took his time, now can get level, but Kim Do-woon is not really paying much attention to what's behind him, and into the drink again. So that's a big issue there. Someone not able to recover. That's one of the Tenzi surf racers. So I would suspect that could be Denny Kosteleczki. No, it's Arkadiusz Janota. It's the Pole who was fighting for the victory. So Arkadiusz Janota for the second time drops down, and that's perfect news for Petr Faltasek. He can cruise his way to the victory. No issues at all. So that could promote Kamil Schneider to second place. But for the moment at least, it's victory for Petr Faltasek. He stays upright the whole way. Well done to Petr Faltasek. My goodness me, that was a very tough race indeed. Just as it was in the Group A Masters race. And I'll be fascinated to see if Arkadiusz Janota is still going to be in second place or if it's going to go to the B shorts of Kamil Schneider. So across the line, Petr Faltasek on his own, all at sea, enjoying the moment. But where is second place going to be? Is it going to be Kamil Schneider or is it going to be Arkadiusz Janota? As we see, Stanislav Ganichkin has already crossed the line a lap down. So that's going to be good enough for 10th position, I think, for Stanislav Ganichkin. Petr Faltasek just taking it carefully on the way home. Arkadiusz Janota does come home in second place, so the pole did hang on for P2. 32 seconds back in the end. So he had enough time, and the reason for that is that Michel Huleur has got through in a third position. Kamil Schneider either had a fall on the last lap or had to take his second long lap. So Kamil Schneider comes home in fourth position in the end, 5 seconds back from Michel Huleur. What a tough race. Really tricky racing all the way there. It's never going to be easy. Let's see a replay of some of the nastier moments in this one. There was Kim Yong-bum's first big save. What a catch. That was a stumble into a turn for Kim Yong-bum. Absolutely spectacular. But other riders were not so lucky. Here's Ganishkin. Ugh. Back first is not fun. And all sorts of moments in this race. This is the second one for Kim Yong-bum. This was the big one. This is the one that put him out of the race, unfortunately. Big tank slapper, face first. And this is Arkadiusz Janota, the first of two big drops. But this one, he actually got some big airtime. Watch this. Oh. Never going to save that one in a million years. Nothing Arkadiusz Janota could do. Manages to get it back up again. And then, of course, managed to then have a second incident and still somehow come home in second place. That's how careful Petr Faltasek was being. The weather conditions really bad. You can see the rain falling on the beach itself as the umbrellas are now starting to shade some of the competitors. But that was tough. That was really tough. So now we go from the Masters' second race. Petr Faltasek taking the victory from Arkadiusz Janota. Michel Huleur in third place ahead of Kamil Schneider. Denny Kosteleczki in P5 ahead of Ivan Matusek. Then Roman Michel Kradashvili ahead of Kim Do-woon. Murat Jorgenchila, Stanislav Ganichkin, Unga Chio-hong, and then there was one retirement, and that, of course, was Kim Yong-bum. Of course, all the riders trying their best to make it to their respective finals. There's only one final for each category. They are not split into separate groups. So it's only the best 12 riders scoring across the two groups in each category that make it through to the finals. And now we go from the Masters to the women's category. 7 laps plus 2 long laps on this occasion. And Group A is going to see a whole host of stars battling away for position. A really exciting race to come in this one. We're going to see some really tough racers go to battle. Heat 3, Group A, 7 laps, and it's Eliska Maruskova in first. Number 2 is Mariana Navarova. 3 is Eli Sharusova. 4 is Gao Jie-yin. 5 is Sara Valfova. 6 is Lee Eun-jin. 7 is Jin Yu. 8 is Valentina Novotna. 9 is Nishin Yue. A is Park Min-ah. B is Rihanna DeVoe. And C is Kim Yuri. So all of the riders now facing the toughest race they've had all season. There's no two ways about it. One of the longest laps, one of the slowest laps, and the rain is absolutely pelting down here in Macau. This is going to be so tricky for our women, putting on a great show in yesterday's encounters. Now they're definitely going to have it tough. From here on out, this is the third and final heat for every competitor in every class. And they are really having the toughest race course they've met so far. There were some very important races yesterday in the women's category. Good to see how everybody coped into the situations, but it was really, really tricky. So in yesterday's first heats in the women's category, we had some really tough races with some great performances. Eli Sharasova took the win in the first heat, Group A, ahead of Maruskova, Struchalova and Faitova. In Group B, it was Aneta Stukalova that got the win ahead of Navarova, Tori and Novotna. And that was in the first heat when things were fairly fluid. Heat 2 was a little bit tougher because the weather was starting to deteriorate a little bit. And then in Heat 2 yesterday, we had a fantastic victory in the Group A race from Eliska Maruskova ahead of Sharasova. Gao Yin coming through in third ahead of Mariana Navarova and Sara Volfova. And then in Group B yesterday, we had Aneta Stukalova making it 2 wins out of 2 ahead of Emma Struchalova and Linda Lukscheider. Elisabetta Faitova ahead of Li Millon. But now Heat 3, my, is this going to be difficult? The sea is choppy, the weather is torrential. 7 laps plus 2 long laps that they can take at any point during the race. This is going to be the toughest Eliska Maruskova has had it all season. It's going to be an interesting one for Mariana Navarova, who will want to put pressure on her right from the start. Watch out for the other competitors trying to make some gains through the field. Eli Sharasova, El Sharo, running in third position with that beautiful prancing horse on her board. Fourth is Gao Yin. Sara Volfova looking for P5, and then the Korean talent Lee Eunjin, P6. They look like they've formed up quite well here given the difficulties of the conditions. Are we going to go into race trim? Will they go around again? No, we're going to go straight away racing, and it's a beautiful start from P6 on the grid for Lee Eunjin. Has gone straight into P4. Excellent work from the Korean as they work their way through the first turn. No problems at all for Maruskova. Navarova P2, Sharasova P3, and then it's Lee Eunjin. So a bit of a tricky start for riders in the tail end, but it's a good move from Eliska Maruskova. Straight away, riders choosing whether to go left or go right through the parallels. And Maruskova holds the advantage here in front of Mariana Navarova. Sharasova looks pretty good as well. But as the riders work their way through, oh, that was tricky coming off the parallel. As back into fourth position again comes the hard-charging Gao Yin. So Gao Yin has had a good continuation of the lap to move her way ahead of Lee Eunjin, who is there in P5 ahead of Sara Volfova. So a couple of tricky moments as Lee Eunjin decides to get out of the white water, go through clear water a little bit easier. Oh, she's going to find it tricky on the way out, and Lee Eunjin goes down. Oh, very easily done there. So tricky once you get into the white water of the rider in front. It was never going to be easy to save it. Here's Lee Eunjin. That's the angle. That's where it all went wrong. The landing was a little bit too obtuse, and nothing Lee Eunjin could do. Bitter disappointment. Certainly had the ability to take that one a bit further forward into the top 5, but there's still time to recover. And there is Eliska Maruskova. Beautiful poise through the parallels, looking so smooth at the moment. And that's the beauty of having a clear water in front of you. Work their way through. It's getting a little bit trickier now for Navarova, I should say, and Sharasova. Starting to find it a little bit tricky in the battle for second place. Further back, we can see it's getting a little bit tough as, well, it's a little bit tentative as through on the inside goes Sara Volfova. And hand in the air for Eliska Maruskova because there was a rider just in front really finding this tricky. I'm not surprised. Everyone's finding it tricky at the moment. Choppiest weather conditions. Who's that that's really struggling? It's the 9, so that is Nishin Yue. Nishin Yue really struggling to get her board back up to speed as onto the long lap goes Mariana Navarova. So Navarova takes the long lap. Not yet for Maruskova. No need to just yet. 7 laps of racing, so you can take the 2 long laps any way you want. She's nice and comfortable in the parallels, clearly feeling, look, I've got an advantage of clear track. I'm going to take my time. And oh, how close was that to tripping over a rider that's there down in the parallels. And we got another rider that fell further back. That was the B, I think. So that was Rihanna DeVoe picking herself up after a little moment further round the lap. So every rider out there finding this tough. But Eliska Maruskova not too far away from wrapping up the ladies' title if she keeps going on the trajectory she's currently on. Careful, careful. Such a tricky part of the lap, this. And look how rough the waves are. They are big, they are choppy, they are unpredictable, and even someone with the talent of Eliska Maruskova can get caught out easily. Hand in the air, now she's going for the long lap. And I have to say, this is a good moment to do it because there's not a lot of traffic around her. So this is a good opportunity. There is Mariana Navarova in the parallels. But then, of course, Mariana Navarova had already taken the long lap, I do believe. So now Matuskova is going to lose a lot of the time that she's gained. She comes back out of the parallels, but she still has a huge advantage on her opposition. Looking so good in terms of her rhythm and flow. Even these complicated and complex wave patterns are just making life not too difficult for Eliska Matuskova. She's certainly not making it look difficult anyway. I'll bet it's really tricky being there on the board, but it's flawless at the moment. Every left, every right, just perfectly judged. Not taking too many risks. And as she works her way through back again into the parallels, she goes right. It seems to be the way that the waves are taking her. And it's just really planted. Rain on the camera lens, fairly easy to spot now. There is Navarova. So that's how much time you lose on a long lap because there was almost half a minute between Matuskova and Navarova. Now there's only a dozen seconds. Someone else down there in the parallels. And Navarova very fortunate to avoid that particular rider. And there is the hard-charging number 6. That is Lee Eun-jin. She takes to the long lap. The very talented Korean for Apex Pilots. Oh, actually, that's the 5. My apologies. So that's her teammate. That is Sara Valfova. So Sara Valfova, who's already had an interesting race of it. There is Eliska Matuskova again, avoiding someone who's gone down into the drink. These 7-lap races in the ladies, very tricky. And it's the A that went down there, so that is Park Min-ah. So Park Min-ah was the latest rider to go down into the water. So now there is the number 3 rider. So that is Eli Sharasova, trying her best to get back into race-winning contention. It is so physical, though, in these peaks and troughs. And, of course, if you're following in the white water of somebody else, you've got very little chance to catch anything if anything gets loose. Working the way through to the parallels. El Sharo doing a great job here. Eli Sharasova got a win in a second yesterday. Might only be good enough for a third this time. So continuing on their way forward. My apologies. I seem to have the starting positions for Heat 2 in front of me for some particular reason. I'm not entirely sure why I didn't have Heat 3 in front of me, but now that's all been taken care of and sorted. So it is indeed Linda Lukscheider. I do apologise. So Linda Lukscheider working her way forward, currently ahead of Emma Strichalova. So an interesting challenge for the contenders as they work through. So it was actually Lee Mi-yeon who was the number 6 on that one. But there is Eliska Matuskova running ahead of Lukscheider, Strichalova, Tori, and Gao Eugene. So the battle's continuing on, very, very close-knit as they run their way through. So still the contenders working forward. That is a very hard-charging Emma Strichalova. Trying to work her way further forward there, trying to close in on Linda Lukscheider. 5 laps completed, 2 to go, and there is the number 2 rider, Strichalova. What a way to stoom up the inside line there, just nipping in front of Linda Lukscheider. That was how tricky it was for the two of them. So Strichalova and Lukscheider so close to making contact, but that was inch-perfect stuff coming off the long lap. So Lukscheider just losing out there to Strichalova. That is as close as it gets in a fight for position coming off long lap. So I would love to see that again because it was so tight. Having a look between Strichalova and Lukscheider, there was nothing in it as Lukscheider came off the long lap. Strichalova was just able to hold on to her second position by a matter of inches. Meanwhile, Eliska Matuskova is going into her final lap. No problems at all for Eliska Matuskova as the battle for second position rages between Emma Strichalova and Linda Lukscheider. Strichalova having only just taken that second place back again. Through they go. There's an arm in the air because there's a rider in front of them. That is Lee Mi-yeon. Get out of the way, please. Help us out here. Come on, we're trying to fight for second position. And Lee Mi-yeon is giving all sorts of headaches here to Emma Strichalova. So Emma Strichalova having some difficulties here. Third position for Linda Lukscheider. Trying desperately to make the move. Now Lee Mi-yeon has got out of the way of Strichalova, but not so for Linda Lukscheider. And that is causing all sorts of headaches for Lukscheider. She can't find a way through past Lee Mi-yeon at the moment. But there is Eliska Matuskova. Perfect ride. and running an excellent performance out in front. There were no issues for her as she continues in fine stead. But this is going to be a supreme finish to the races. A good opportunity to continue on. But what an excellent ride. Eliska Maruskova crosses the line. And that'll do nicely. 7 laps completed and the race victory. Very much hers to command there. As we wait to see if Emma Struchalova can hang on in front of Linda Lukscheider. And I'm fairly sure the answer to that question is yes, she can. There she goes. Struchalova ahead of Lukscheider. Excellent work. Very nicely handled there from the 2 riders. Very close battles between them all the way to the finish line. And that was inch-perfect stuff from Struchalova. Slight issues with the rain, both for the cameras and the timing screens. We're really struggling at the moment. The weather is not really being our friend, so we're doing our best to keep on top of everything. But there's one rider in that particular race who kept on top of everything. Eliska Maruskova. No problems at all. A nice handshake there between Linda Lukscheider and Eliska Maruskova. The 6 off to the side there was Lee Mion. So just to give you an update as to how that race officially concludes. We'll hopefully get an update very soon indeed, but even the timing screen is not updating to show the completed 7th lap. But hopefully that will update shortly. You'll have to apologize. We'll have to apologize, and you'll have to give us a little bit of grace for the technical difficulties, but you can see for yourself that the weather is not exactly helping us out. Eliska Maruskova, however, has absolutely controlled this race from the outset. No problems at all to lead going away. As Emma Struchalova, we believe, was able to hold on to 2nd place there in front of Linda Lukscheider after an incredible battle. When Lukscheider came off the long lap, they were inches away from each other, and Struchalova was able to hold on to that 2nd place mark there very nicely indeed. So Eliska Maruskova gets the job done in fine fashion, very nicely handled. Emma Struchalova in 2nd position, Linda Lukscheider in 3rd. We'll update you with the order on that one as soon as humanly possible. But certainly a very tough race battle for all of the contenders in that particular encounter. So many tricky battles to navigate. And certainly for the ladies in Heat 3, a tough race and a very exciting battle, giving us so much to get excited about there. Fortunately, everybody just about managing the difficulties there without too much technical difficulties, but it was a very, very difficult race to predict how it was all going to phase out. So after a victory there for Eliska Maruskova, we're now waiting to see the racers get ready in Group B, Heat 3, in the women's category. As you can see the riders there on the shore. The number 6 there is Lee Eun-jin. Got it right this time, and you can definitely tell it's Lee Eun-jin because the T-shirt that she wears carries the number 75. That is her signature race number, if not her race number. 8:16. In behind that is Park Min-ah, fellow Korean rider. And you can also see the 171 just off to the left there. That's Yu Soo-jin, who in this race will be wearing number 9 shorts. So our ladies continuing to have a good weekend, despite how difficult the conditions were. So it'll be fascinating to see how it all continues to play out. Aneta Stukalova. And now we'll get to see how the battles are likely for this one. Mark Andrews there from Team Canada, giving a bit of a handshake there to Lee Eun-jin, hoping for a really good race. And look at that. That's one of the things that we have to say is really impressive about the athletes here. Mark Andrews isn't the only one who does this. But you do get to see some real camaraderie amongst the racers. They will go over and shake hands with everybody. Good luck. We know how tricky it is out there. Good luck and go and have a great race. This is a community sport, this. It's not just about looking after your own race. Everybody wants to get to be friends with everybody. We're all in the same team here, ultimately. We want to go racing. We want to go and have some fun. And the women's category really having a fantastic race of it at the moment. So it'll be a really exciting run out there for all of the contenders. Excellent to see just how much good racing we have had so far from all of the categories and the classes so far. Good to see that there's some decent moves from Rihanna DeVoe as she gets ready to go racing. In the same line there as Li Eunjin. Little bit of a delay needed, of course, because of the slight technical difficulties with the timing monitor, I do believe. That's the reason why we're slightly delayed. So hopefully that'll get sorted fairly quickly, because we obviously need to have official results for the women's category Group A race. From what we could see, though, Eliska Mariskova took the victory in that one after a furious battle for second between Emma Struchalova and Linda Lukscheider. So that was how that one ended up concluding. But for Group B, we're going to get to see Aneta Stukalova, along with Mariana Navarova, Eli Shirazova, Elizabeta Faitova, then Shen Qing, Li Eunjin, Jin Yu, Chai Jin, Yu Sujin, Park Min Ah, Rihanna DeVoe, and Rebecca Smith, as they will all battle away for a great race battle in this third and final heat for the women's Group B. Don't forget, of course, it's only the top 12 racers that make it through to the final. So there's a lot of incentive for the racers to get the most out of these opportunities, the most out of these laps. Well, when you're in the pouring Macau rain and you're just waiting around, what better thing is there to do but get your groove on? Too right, guys. Enjoy the moment, enjoy the vibes. You've got two options. Get cold or get grooving. So good to see them all getting themselves into a good position. You can see just into the far right of your screen there, the number 4, that's Elizabeta Faitova. For the Apex Pilots team, quite a few competitors for Apex Pilots in this particular race. We have Faitova and Li Eunjin. Linda Lukscheider was their representative at the sharp end of the field in the previous group race, of course, in Group A. But for Group B, it's all going to be about how this all finishes off in fine style. Last chance for all the riders to book some decent championship points on the board and get themselves into that top 12. Such an important podium finish for Linda Lukscheider in that last heat. The marshals just getting themselves into position out on the course, but the rain definitely making their job considerably harder than it used to be. So now we're going to get to see just how difficult it was. So now we're going to get to see, hopefully, without too much more further delay, we'll get to see the races of the previous encounters. Well, interestingly, we got some updates that we can give you from the previous races. After the protest that was handed in the Stock B heat yesterday, the results are final, and that is Kim Min-seong taking the victory in that race in front of Timothée Zubor. Denis Duselec in third position in front of Damian Kadlec. Mark Andrews came up in fifth position. Mike Michailidis in P6 ahead of Cheng Zheng-Kei. The penalty of 1 minute, by the way, or is it a 1 minute penalty or a 1 second penalty? I think it might have been a 1 second penalty to Zhang Maozhu. So that penalty was handed out to Zhang Maozhu to drop to 8th position. In fact, I think actually it might have been 1 minute. Yes, it was a 1 minute penalty. I do apologize. 9th position for Daisuke Mamada, then 10th for Stefan Schember, 11th for Maxim Govronov, and Vacharasak Yantorn did not take the start. So obviously quite a lot of difficulties in that second race yesterday. So let's see how it all finishes up in good position. So now we're just waiting for the conclusion of the preparation for this Group B race. Slight delays, obviously, because of various factors, particularly, of course, the weather conditions. Just to confirm the results of the junior races from earlier on, all preliminary, of course. Kristina Hebkova taking the win in the Group B Heat 2 race from earlier on in front of Barbara Kolarova. Sebastian Kosteleczki third in front of Gao Jin. And then Stanislav Kohut Lucas Schneider came through for P6 in the end. Ryder Sawangwan and Nico Sawangwan were 7th and 8th places with a couple of penalties handed out to them. So that dropped them to 7th and 8th respectfully. Yan Li Wen ahead of An Jihan and then Ender Jorgen Schieler. There was also a bit of an update to the result in the juniors, in the Masters races, sorry. We now have the juniors Group A race to talk about. Adam Kolar taking the win in front of Sara Zaborova. Laura Markova third in front of Zheng Jinghao. Then Lin Ruyang, who got a 36-second penalty in front of Rosalia Janora. Then Li Jimeng, Max Hrushka, Zhang Rushan, Oliver Wolf, Huang Zhizhuan, and Yang Junhao. So that's how it all kind of filtered out there. You can see the rain starting to fall now in the main pits itself on the beach. Not easy when it's raining to try and keep everything up to date and up to scratch. Just a reminder of the preliminary results in the Masters races as well while we're waiting for this second of the ladies' races to conclude. And look at the rain. You can actually see it on that particular camera lens as well, starting to fall down on the straight. Everybody trying to keep as dry as physically possible. It's not particularly easy as Vladimir Maslenikov is having a nice time down there on the start-finish straight, enjoying the rain, I'm sure. Masters Heat 2, Group A, saw Kim Down taking the victory in front of Roman Kojon, then Rada Gluchka in third ahead of Anthony Mastroni, Yuri Stovacek in P5 ahead of Jano Vankersbilk, then Wang Chenho, Yidi Blaha, Vladimir Maslenikov, who we just saw, Yunjin and Paul Tori. That was in Heat 2, Group A. Group B, we just saw the victory for Peter Faltasek in front of Arkadiusz Janora, then Michel Ular, Kamal Schneider, Denny Kostelec, and then it is Ivan Marusek from Kim Do-woon, Murat Yongichala, Stanislav Ganichkin, Roman Lichal Kodachishvili, who got a 36-second penalty, sadly, Unga Chio-hong, and then obviously the racer who retired from the race anyway, Kim Yong-bum, but he was also given a 36-second penalty. So as all of the contenders are getting ready, they're rocking out on the main straight here at Macau. First time ever that the championship has raced on these shores, and everybody is enjoying the prospect of what is going to be a really exciting race battle. Eliska Mariskova comes over to have a chat to her friend Elizaveta Vaitova on the beachfront here, as everybody is just trying to enjoy the race for what it is. Right, they get the command now. They will finally get the chance to go out. We'll hopefully get the updates for the results of the women's Group A race shortly, but here is the grid for Group B, and that is Aneta Stukalova, Mariana Navarova in 2, 3 is Eli Sharasova, 4 is Elizaveta Vaitova, 5 is Shen Qing, 6 is Li Eunjin, 7 is Jin Yu, 8 is Chai Jin, 9 is Yu Sujin, A is Park Min-ah, B is Rihanna DeVoe of Canada, and C is the American Rebecca Smith. So the riders now making their way to the water. That means that it won't be too long before we get our official result of number 8. And now they're going to be working further forward. Into the water then goes Elizaveta Vaitova, hoping for a really solid race of it this time for the Apex pilots. It's going to be a really interesting race this, because even though it's been raining, the sky has actually got a little brighter in the last couple of minutes. It does look as though the sun is trying to push through these clouds and give us a little bit better conditions for the second part. So we are still putting ourselves into an interesting situation here, as everybody still knows how tricky the course is going to continue to be. So now the contenders all gearing up and excited for another good showcase. Number 1 with her hand in the air, Aneta Stukalova, wanting to make sure that the pace of this V formation is formed as quickly as possible, especially in these conditions with it actually raining today rather than just plain windy. They want to make sure they form up fairly quickly, and oh, that's gone wrong for Mariana Navarova, who was trying to get herself in position. I think she was just trying to adjust her foot bindings there, and as they were forming up the V, she actually toppled into the water. So Mariana Navarova, a rather embarrassing way to start the race for her, but fortunately it's not race trim yet. So the number 2 rises back into her foot bindings. Hopefully that's okay now, but it was just a little bit of a embarrassing method to get things underway. But we should remind everybody just how much more difficult the race circuit is today compared to yesterday, with the rain coming down and with the wind very difficult. So it's not going to be easy. So now we're in for a very tricky race battle ahead as all of the riders now forming up in the V. Surely this is going to be the start now. 1, Stukalova. 2, Navarova. 3, Sharasova. 4, Faitova. 5, Shen. 6, Lee. Then Jin, Chai, Yu, Park, DeVoe, and Smith. Waiting for the command. They've got to go round again. Frustration, but that's the way it is. If they're not formed up quite right, they will go round again for another crack at the V. So we're going to see some fascinating challenges for the riders going into this race as well. We already saw how difficult it was in the women's Group A race. Now, women's Group B, I don't really imagine that the conditions are going to be any more favourable. So it really will be a sensational battle for the contenders as they gear themselves up together again. So here is Aneta Stukalova forming up at the front end of the V once again. Navarova, Sharasova, Faitova, Shen, Lee, Jin, Chai, Yu, Park, DeVoe, and Smith all getting into the V once again, ready for the third and final heat for the Group B riders. Don't forget, only the top 12 in every category goes through to the final. Off we go. What a start from Stukalova. Absolutely perfect on the timing. And not a bad launch from Shen Qing either. Through to the first turn. And Shen Qing looks like she's got the upper hand there on Elizaveta Faitova. Faitova almost falling down on the way through. And up on the inside line, very nicely handled there from Shen Qing. And as the riders work their way through to the parallel, it's going to be the teammates at Apex Pilots that run side by side on the way through the parallel. Lee versus Faitova, having a great race battle now for 5th position. As through has come Shen Qing. So a good start in proceedings for Aneta Stukalova. But Stukalova having a really great race of it up at the front end of the field. A good launch from her. Then Navarova second. Sharasova doing well in 3rd place. Hoping for a little bit more from this particular one. She's had a win and a 2nd place. A 3rd position would do nicely, but she could really push for a little bit more. And in conditions like today's race, a victory could well be in the offing for Sharasova. She dealt well with the conditions yesterday. But Aneta Stukalova, just so smooth on the way through these turns. Excellent performance so far. So Stukalova just trying to keep the pace up at the sharp end, not pushing harder than necessary at the moment. Back into the parallels they go. She goes right. Interestingly, it is Navarova that goes right, Sharasova that goes left. Maybe she can get a little bit of an upper hand here through the parallels. But it's all about the angle of trajectory for the following corner as well. So A-OK in 2nd position still then for Mariana Navarova. Where's Sharasova gone? Sharasova seems to have disappeared. I wonder if she's had a fall in the parallels because she was right there in 3rd position, but Sharasova seems to be missing. She was very close in behind the number 2 of Mariana Navarova, and now she's not there anymore. So if anybody managed to pick up something in the parallels, that could be worth having a look at again. Because Sharasova, I think, may have fallen from 3rd position. Meanwhile, hand in the air is into the long lap for the first time goes Aneta Stukalova. But we think that Eli Sharasova has hit trouble here. And so too has the number 2, Mariana Navarova. They've both gone into the long lap. Right, let's have a look at what happened. Look on the far side. There it is. Oh dear. Eli Sharasova through the right-hander. Losing position. Falling into the drink. And that's very much game over for the victory for now, at least, for Eli Sharasova. She needs mistakes from the other big 2 racers in this field. Hand in the air for the 7 to take the long lap, but Aneta Stukalova had already taken it. So Jin Yu now goes into the long lap herself. So Aneta Stukalova just running in good position, good pace compared to Mariana Navarova. So Saturday was brilliant for Eli Sharasova. Sunday's already started with a bit of a headache for her. But there's still plenty of time to get this back again. And her pace from yesterday shows that as long as she's still in the top 12 by the time everybody's finished racing, then she should have a great chance of winning the final. The commitment from Aneta Stukalova, despite the ferocity of these waves, it's just all in the confidence and all in those kneecaps that you've got to have fairly stiff knees, but you've got to have flexibility. You've got to have full confidence and faith in your balance and your poise. This is a sport where it's as much about discipline as it is about aggression. A little bit of a trippy moment there for the number 2, Navarova. A lot of this is all in the knees. Oh, and further down the field, there's a bit of an issue there for the number 5. That is Shen Qing, falling right in the path of Aneta Stukalova. So Shen Qing gets well out of the way now. But Aneta Stukalova having a great race up front here. This is magnificent to watch. Just works her way through the twisties. No real headaches at the moment. And just a similar kind of flair and stance to Eliska Maduskova. But the Matek racer, Aneta Stukalova, just taking it one move at a time. Full of confidence, full of balance. The rhythm and the natural flow is really beautiful to watch. Through the right, through the left, perfect lean angle as she comes through the final turn and into lap number 5 she goes. 3 laps remaining. She's got 1 long lap left to take. And there is Eli Shadasova, El Sharo, getting herself back up to speed after her earlier tumble. But Eli Shadasova still not far away from things. She's currently technically leading the race, at least she was, because she decided to leave her long laps for later. And she says, and she was actually waving her hand in the air there, coming off the final turn, and very nearly fell as a result. I think she's having a little bit of trouble getting past a slower competitor who's a lap down. So as things have narrowed out again, Stukalova is back in the lead in front of Navarova, and then Faitova. Let's look at this again. Look, she's gesturing to someone in front. How close was that to a fall? Shadasova just about managing to save that one. I would say that's probably the second best save of the weekend after Kim Yong-bum. So the race is still working their way through. There is El Sharo, Eli Shadasova. On the long lap, as you can see there, working her way through the left-hand flick and then back round the hairpin again as into lap number 6 goes Aneta Stukalova. So Aneta Stukalova's only got 2 laps to go, one of which will almost certainly be a long lap. And getting out of the way of the race leader. Good sportsmanship there from Lee Eun-jin. So the Korean works the magic. Oh, and someone else has gone down into the drink there just in front of Aneta Stukalova, who goes for the long lap. And he's going to be joined on the long lap by the rider that fell. Clearly deciding that, well, I may as well take the long lap anyway. I've fallen anyway. I can get myself back up to rhythm that way. As there is Eli Shadasova desperately trying not to clatter into the side of Park Min-ah. So Park Min-ah just gets out of the way in time for Eli Shadasova. And Shadasova, who had a brilliant Saturday, could do with a little bit more of a recovery from Sunday, but she's currently in P4 behind Elizaveta Faitova. So still good points in the offing for Shadasova, especially after winning and coming second yesterday in the 2 heats. So I don't think we'll see too much difficulty in seeing Eli Shadasova make it to the final, but being down in 4th position means I don't think she'll be starting in quite the position she was hoping to. So it's definitely going to be a tricky final for Eli Shadasova, but then it is for everybody in every class. Look at those waves. So much depth to them at this phase of the day. The bad weather has definitely affected the ocean front here. So Aneta Stukalova coming through for a fantastic run, and this is going to be the start of the final lap. So Aneta Stukalova has already taken both of her long laps. This can be a really fluid charge forward now. Into the last lap she's gone. And Aneta Stukalova can really enjoy this final lap of the race. What a fantastic run it's been so far for her, and for her countrywoman Eliska Maduskova in the previous heat, of course, as well. But this has been a seriously good race for Aneta Stukalova. Not pushing harder than she needed to. Keeping her composure. All nice and neat as she's worked her way through each of these apexes. Eating them up like they're almond biscuits, to be fair. Working very hard indeed here at Macau. Full of strength, full of confidence. The upper body strength, absolutely perfect. The lower body balance, absolutely neat and tidy as you like. And this is where Aneta Stukalova is going to get it done very nicely indeed. Out of the parallels and into the penultimate turn. It looks like someone else has had a fall as we watch Mariana Navarova continue to work her way through. But it is going to be victory, and rightly so, for Aneta Stukalova. No problems at all. Excellent race. 7 laps completed, and the job is done, as Mariana Navarova is doing her best to come through in front of Elizaveta Faitova, who is there in the background. You can see the number 4. There in third position, Ellie Shadasova is doing everything she can to catch up to her in the closing stages, but I think she's just going to run out of time. There is Mariana Navarova. She comes through for second position. Good race from Navarova. And a very solid race too from Elizaveta Vaitova. She comes through for third in front of El Sharo. Ellie Shadasova will be fourth. So Elizaveta Vaitova can be happy with a third place finish there. Aneta Stukalova looks behind her. Where is everybody? With such a dominant run. 27 seconds ahead of Mariana Navarova. Dominant race from Aneta Stukalova. She can be so proud of the way she handled herself in the most physical race of the weekend so far in the women's category. The last couple of races just coming through to finish off. But a very tough race indeed then in the women's category. You can see Mariana Navarova just cruising home. You don't really notice how much of a toll it's taking on your body until you cross the finish line. And then all of a sudden, all that adrenaline is released. All of that composure is weighted off you. And it suddenly becomes apparent how tired, how physical, how exhausted you are. It all hits you in one fell swoop. But great work from the ladies. Now, they've obviously got a final coming up later on. The top 12 will make it through to that final. And not only will we be showing that here, but we'll also be broadcasting it live on Brinks TV later on this afternoon, when the Brinks Cup will be finished and declared. So the contenders are just gearing themselves up ready for the next contest, and that is going to be in the stock and stock rookies category. And again, don't forget, only the top 12 races in both categories will make it through to the finals. But the rain is really starting to pelt down now. It's definitely the heaviest it's been all weekend. Oh my goodness. That's proper rain. That's not even a little bit of rain. That's proper rain now. Well, Magic Macau has suddenly become very sodden on the main straight. Look at the stocks and stock rookies. Seriously, do we have to go racing in this? I'm afraid you do. Ay, 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 ay. Have you ever been caught out the beach in the rain? It is one of the most unpleasant experiences. Unless you're the kind of person who just dances in the rain. I tell you what, there's going to be quite a few racers here who've got no choice. Heavy stuff now as the rain properly soaks the circuit. And what is this going to do to the racetrack? I'll tell you, it's going to make a nightmare even worse. Just in time for the stocks and stock rookies. Why did we have to draw the short straw? As you can see there, enjoying the moment. Anthony Squire pretending he's having a shower there on the main straight. I'm not at all surprised. Oh, where's your shampoo when you need it, Anthony? I don't know. Well, what else can you do when it's absolutely torrential? Really, really rough rain here at Macau now. The wettest it's been all weekend. And I tell you what, this is so unpleasant for the racers coming up. Group A, Heat 3 in the rookies and the stocks. Hassan Boabas back on pole position. Can he get the job done for the third time of asking? Adam Janosec and Damian Kadlec from Anthony Squire and Kim Min-jun. Then Daisuke Mamada of Japan, Jin Shulin of China, from the Hungarian Abraham Tibor. Then David Kuchka and Adam Ficek to lead off for the rookies. Then Chen Zhangkai and Li Yujing. The most torrential downpour of the weekend. I cannot believe these guys are going to go racing in this. Rain doesn't stop playing MotoSurf. It just means that you're real men. In the stocks and stock rookies in particular, they are really going to have to face the facts. I tell you what, how lucky were the women in Group B to finish the race when they did? Because that could have hit right in the middle of that race. You got a feel for the likes of Aneta Stukalova, Mariana Navarova and Elizaveta Vaitova. It was tough in their women's Group B race, but they just avoided the worst of the downpour. Fortunately, the broadcast tent in which my commentary box is based is waterproof, but it's not going to be waterproof for long if that rain continues to intensify. Certainly the wind is going to be tricky as well. But I have to say, I've never been this close to a shoreline whilst also in work mode. And these guys really are having a tough race of it. Well, the marshals are obviously waiting to the sidelines. There is a certain amount of intensity to the rain where you just have to say, no, we can't run. So I think for the time being, they're just trying to wait to see if the rain dissipates a little bit for just a moment, because there's only a certain amount of intensity of rain that you can actually race in. And it's got to the point now where it's just far too intense. So we're in Canadian Grand Prix 2011 mode now. We're just sat here waiting to see how long the rain is going to carry on for, in the hope that we're going to be able to go racing again. I wonder how many Max Verstappen Interlagos performances we're going to get from riders in this one. Running towards the tail end of the field. There could be a few standout efforts. One rider in particular that's worth having a look at when we go racing again is going to be Adam Ficek. In yesterday's second heat, Adam Ficek had an amazing race that we didn't really see happen until the finish line. He very nearly stole the overall victory away from Kim Down on the finish line. And then fell into the water. He was working so hard to try and catch him at the finish line. But we kind of missed his entire race. Adam Ficek's run was under the radar for the entirety of. So it made things pretty tricky. Everyone's trying to get a decent picture and shot of the race. 2 umbrellas is not actually the right answer, is it? Poor chap. He's trying his best to cover up his camera with a rain cover and 2 umbrellas. I'm afraid 2 umbrellas is not the answer. What you need there isn't a second umbrella. It's a bigger umbrella. Well, I have to say, these are probably the only 2 guys in the whole paddock having fun at the moment. Out there on the jet ski that patrols the course, that allows them the chance to push. Absolutely torrential. So it looks as though they're actually having to re-inflate one of the buoys on the course. And that's obviously to try and make sure that the circuit is still up to safety standards. My goodness me. This is what proper rain looks like in Southeast Asia. It can get very interesting at times. And thanks to the rather obscure angle that I'm now getting from the front end of our tent, I'm getting rained on. So don't think, oh, well, it's all right for the commentator. He's in the shelter. He's not getting any water. Hey, put your neck back in. I'm getting wet as well. Don't worry. So the buoy is being re-inflated there on the circuit. That's on the long lap, actually. So that's quite important, because obviously they have to take the long lap on 2 occasions. Welcome to Macau, they said. It'll be glamorous, they said. The Las Vegas of the East, they said. Well, yeah, but rain does happen in Las Vegas as well. Quite a lot of it has all decided to come here, though. The second Macau Grand Prix in as many weeks. This one on the water. And it seems we've had even more rain than the race cars did last week. It looks as though the marshals are ready to get us back into a starting position. The rain has decreased slightly. Is that enough for them to give the signal? What do you make of it? Well, it's wet, mate. Yeah, I know it's wet. How wet do you need it to be before we can start? Well, you tell me. I'd love to be a fly on the wall for those conversations. Excellent stuff. Now they are going to give them the signal to go. Okay, so it has decreased enough that we can actually race. Well, the stocks are thinking, well, that's fine, but could we stop racing altogether, please, while the rain actually stops? That'll be better. No, we've got a schedule to keep. So Hassan Boabas had a very tricky day at the office yesterday. He started it with pole position in qualifying, led on the first lap of racing, and then on lap 3, it all went horribly wrong for Hassan Boabas, and he fell from the lead while he was out in front. Then in the second race, he was absolutely destroying the competition. Hassan Boabas was having an amazing race, and he was leading going into the last lap. And having taken both of his long laps, he wasn't really sure whether he'd taken both of his long laps or not. Such was the toughness of his race. So he actually took a 3rd long lap. And had he not done that, Hassan Boabas would have taken his first victory. And in fact, at the time, he crossed the line and was absolutely convinced he had won. So he was celebrating as if he'd given Q8 their first ever win in the stocks category. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. So now he's got a 3rd chance to do it from pole position, as we currently watch David Kuchka get himself up to speed. There is Adam Janusek, who had a very busy day at the office yesterday. So we'll have to see if he's going to have a tough time of it. Look how tough the waves are, even at slow speed. As Adam Janusek waves to his competitors. Come on, we've had enough time to warm up, thank you. And there is the 42 shirt, the 42 jersey, Hassan Boabas, The young man from Kuwait, who's got a great opportunity to lead this field around and hopefully go for his first victory. He's had 2 great chances snatched away from him. One through an accident on lap 2 or 3 of the race yesterday in the opener, and then in the second race he was just too cautious, decided to make sure he definitely completed 2 long laps by completing 3, and it ruined his race. So Hassan Bouabbas now gets to control the V. So they will do a quick rotation round to the left, and hopefully everybody will form up behind him in a neat formation. And if the marshals and the officials are happy, then we will go straight into race trim. Absolutely treacherous stuff out there, though, for the contenders. It is still raining. It's nowhere near as heavy as it was, but it's still pretty tricky out there, and the waves are choppier than ever. So Hassan Bouabbas just gesturing to the officials. Okay, this is what you need me to do. That'll do fine. So all of the contenders ready in position. Bouabbas, Janusek, Kadlec, Squire, Kim, Mamada, Jin, Tibor, Kuchka, Ficek, Chen and Liu. One racer we've got to watch for is in the A shorts. He's the one who managed to creep up from the back to the very nearly the victory in his heat earlier on. And he's one to watch out for. Let's see if we get a good race start. We do indeed! And we're charging forward to the first turn. Bouabbas, Janusek, Anthony Squire trying to pull level there with Damian Kadlec and go round the far side to get into 3rd position. Can he finish up that job? Yes, he can. So Anthony Squire, great start for the American, up into 3rd position as he works his way through the turn, and now he's in P3. Excellent work. Looks like a good start as well for Adam Ficek, already trying to make up ground as they work their way through the parallels. Is everybody going to stay upright? Through the lefts, through the rights. A lot of hard work, and there's one who isn't going to stay upright. I think that was Kim Min-jun having a bit of a moment through the parallels. But certainly for the moment, Hassan Bouabbas leads the way. Excellent work for him. I think Kim Min-jun actually managed to save it as Damian Kadlec is now chasing down Anthony Squire for 3rd position. But Hassan Bouabbas, 3rd time's the charm. Pole position, he leads again. It all went wrong for him in the first race yesterday. And in the second race, he was too conservative and he gave away too much by going on to his 3rd long lap. Now he's hopeful that this time he can finish the job and give his fans and his friends back home in Kuwait the victory they deserve. Good run for Bouabbas. Trying to get away from Adam Janusek. Onto the long lap already for a Damian Kadlec. Well, that's a very early decision. Clearly feeling that the waves are so choppy in the middle of the gaggle, I'm going to take the long lap early, get myself out of the traffic, and just run my own race. So Damian Kadlec, that's a very early decision, but now that he rejoins the course, I think that could actually be a smart one. So Hassan Bouabbas coming across the finish line as he works his way forward through turn 1. Right in behind is Janusek, and there in 3rd position still is Anthony Squire, but dropping back a little way from the leading duo now. So Hassan Bouabbas just trying his best to feed his way through the twisties on the upper section of the course. So when will he take his first long lap? Now remember, Hassan, you only need to take 2. So he's not going to take the long lap on this particular occasion by the look of it, as there is Janusek, who's filtered his way back in through the parallels. So he's got a lot of time to make up, but then when you take the long lap that early, that's the type of strategy you sign yourself up for. So let's see who's going to make the best of these tactics. Such a tricky sport to get right. It's not just about speed, it's also about control, about poise, about discipline, about patience. So many factors come into these races as Hassan Bouabbas completes his 3rd lap. And with 4 laps to go, he's now got to start thinking about where he decides, with 3 laps to go, sorry. He now needs to start thinking about where he makes his long laps. He's done the first 3 laps, but now he only needs to do it twice. If I'm Hassan Bouabbas, I'm just deciding, do you know what? I'm going to complete 4 laps, and then when there's 2 laps to go, I'm going to do my last 2. Right, who's that's gone in the drink? Very messy moment. I think that could be Janusek. Is that Janusek that's gone in? No, it's Damian Kadlec. So Damian Kadlec, the man who took the early long lap, it's gone horribly wrong for him. So bitter disappointment for Kadlec. He obviously decided to take his long lap early. Oh, nasty. That is a very nasty moment for Kadlec. And Anthony Squire was very lucky to avoid him. Well, a couple more people having an issue there. Looks like someone else went into the drink in the parallels in the foreground. That's the 6th that's gone in. So that is Daisuke Mamada of Japan. So Daisuke Mamada has also had his big moment. Up towards the parallels again. And Hassan Bouabas surely now got to be thinking about long laps. I think he's just taken his first one. So I think Hassan Bouabas may have just taken his first long lap there. And so through the parallels he goes. We're going to see a replay of something else. This is Hassan Bouabas. And behind him, oh, that is a big mistake for Janasek. Janasek has gone into the water as well now. Hassan Bouabas has just got to keep his cool. He's now completed 4 laps, having already taken 1 long lap. He's currently in 3rd place, but there's 2 riders in the water in front of him. So Jin Shulin and David Kuchko are both in front of him. Adam Ficek, by the way, has caught right up to the back of Anthony Squire. So he's still mixing it with a potential top 3. And there's the long lap for Hassan Bouabas. This is his 2nd and final long lap. Now, whatever you do, Hassan, don't take a 3rd one. On the back straight, getting the board up to top speed. You can reach 70 kilometers an hour if you're really hitting the top speed on these boards. Only 30 kilograms in weight. Rejoining right in the path of, goodness me, Chen Jiankei very nearly clattered into the side there of Hassan Bouabas. How close was that? Millimeters difference between absolute disaster. But well timed from both riders. Both Bouabas and Chen were able to get out of danger zone there. And for Hassan Bouabas, this is now the run to the flag. He doesn't need to take another long lap. He's taken both of them. Keep it together, Hassan. Come on, you've got this. You've got this. Hold on. In through the parallels. Through the right. And there is Anthony Squire trying to get around somebody who's gone into the drink as well. So Anthony Squire desperately trying to stay out of dodge. And now Hassan Bouabas is trying to get through on the inside of Liu Jing. Makes his move. Oh, Hassan Bouabas is not a man who's going down without a fight. Into his last lap. And surely now for Hassan Bouabas, who is now behind Adam Ficek, based on the fact that Ficek needs to take his long lap. So Ficek is taking his long lap. You can see him in the distance. That's Ficek taking his long lap. So that's going to hand the lead of this race back to Hassan Bouabas. So Bouabas is now back in the lead again. Oh, careful, Hassan. He very nearly missed the yellow buoy there. That was a big error. But now he's just got to pace himself. Calm your nerves, Hassan. You can do this. It got away from you in race 1. It got away from you again in race 2. Surely this time, lightning isn't going to strike a 3rd time. Through the parallels for the last time. And Hassan Bouabas is finally going to unlock the keys to victory lane. Excellent work from Hassan Bouabas. Last couple of corners, just finish it off, Hassan. This is it. This is your moment. He's waited long enough. Now he's going to get the victory he wanted. Hassan Bouabas finally does it. Great work. And the Q80 has made it happen. Absolutely perfect. 6 laps are completed. The checkered flag is out. Hassan Bouabas is still going. Hassan Bouabas has not seen the checkered flag. Well, talk about concentration. Hassan Bouabas has clearly got it. He's completed 6 laps. The checkered flag is out. He's won the race, but he doesn't realize he's won it. Talk about Mr. Entertainer. Hassan Bouabas has given us everything. And he's still going. He's nearly fallen in. He doesn't need to race, Hassan. It's all over, mate. He still thinks he's far charging it. Well, whatever happens, he's already the winner. My goodness, has he got some stories to take back to the Kuwait Sea Sports Club when he gets home. Hassan Bouabas, he clearly miscounted his long laps yesterday. Now he's miscounted his laps, but he comes home and completes a 7th lap anyway. But it doesn't matter. Hassan Bouabas was already the race winner. 13 seconds clear of Anthony Squire. 2 more ahead of Adam Janusek and 5 more ahead of Adam Ficek. Yes, Hassan, this time you've done it. I love that he had to do 1 more lap to make sure he'd done it. This is after he'd already finished the race, and he's still going at full chat. Very nearly tripping up behind Damian Kadlec. Hassan Bouabas, there you go. Finally, mate. Finally, Hassan Bouabas, you've got the win that you deserved. Anthony Squire, a very happy second, I'm sure. A win and a second for his weekend. Chris Hemsworth on aboard, doing an excellent job this weekend. But look at Hassan Bouabas. This time, there is no doubt. It all fell away in Heat A. In the first heat, in the second heat, he just took one too many long laps. This time, Hassan, it's yours, my friend. Well done, Hassan. Did I win it? He's still not sure. Yes, mate, you did. You won the race. Anthony Squires there in second position. Hassan Bouabas is just double checking. Are you sure? Are you sure I won it this time? Yesterday was so crazy. I don't think Hassan Bouabas is prepared to believe it yet. He just wants official confirmation. Yesterday was so cruel, but now he's got it. He's running back to the paddock. Hassan Bouabas determined to enjoy this moment now that he's got it. Did you win it? Yes, sir, you did. Well done. And Hassan Bouabas gets the job there. Look, Rihanna DeVoe actually comes over to Hassan Bouabas. You got it this time. Well done, mate. Yes. Oh, the sense of relief and achievement for Hassan Bouabas must be mighty after that. He takes the win from Anthony Squire. Adam Janusek is third from Adam Vicek. And Jin Shu Lin, sixth for Chen Zhangkei, ahead of David Kuchka and Kim Min Jun. Then Liu Jing, Damian Kadlec, Daisuke Mamada, and Abraham Tibor. Well, that was Group A. And finally, Hassan Bouabas clinches the victory that he's been threatening to give us all weekend long. But now we go into Group B, and it's all going to be about the fight between Kim Min-song and Jan Travnicek. You see the tide is quite low at the moment. Quite a bit of a walk to the shore. By the time we get to the finals, that's going to be a very short walk indeed. But you can see for yourself that the waves are fairly big for this time of the day. That's all thanks to the weather conditions, which are still adverse here at Macau. Fabulous part of the world this. It's somewhere I've been wanting to travel to for 29 long years, and finally I get the chance to do so. And it's been a fantastic welcome, both from Macau and from the UIM MotoSurf paddock. What a World Championship finale this has been. Whilst we're trying to crown world champions, we're also having a great time in the slightly damp and muggy conditions now that Macau is giving us in the build-up to the finals. We have got just 7 races to go now, I should say, until we get to the finals. So it's very much umbrellas and wetsuits, even for those that aren't racing, as the competitors are gearing up ready for an exciting showcase now. But the Masters will prepare for their third race a little later on in the day. The Elites will get their third race of the weekend out of the way as well. But for Matthias Novotny, it's already clinched and sorted in the Brinks Cup. He'll get to officially be crowned champion after the final, of course. But now the races for Group B, Heat 3, in the stock and stock rookies make their way to the water. Leading them out is number 1, Kim Min-song of Korea. 2 is Jan Travnicek. 3 is Miroslav Kups. 4 is the Canadian Mark Andrews. 5 is Han Tai-hee. 6 is Yuan Song. 7 is Maxim Govronov. 8 is Wu Yongkan. 9 is Jakob Kozon. A is Denis Dusilek. B is Cao Zijun. And C is Yan Zhitao. So 6 more laps of the treacherous Macau circuit here at Koloan Island. One of the many islands that make up this fantastic country. 2/3 of the land in Macau, by the way, has been reclaimed from the sea. So it is a fantastic race. It's a fantastic racing city. Of course, ever since the 1950s, this place has been all about racing in cars. And that's what it's been most famous for. But of course, Macau also has other great sporting events traditions. And this is the most recent one to be started, as UIM MotoSurf has set itself up a permanent home here in Macau, 5 years after its last trip to the Orient. And what a fantastic location. Everybody has said nothing but praise for this beautiful Principality of Macau. It's been a wonderful place to travel to, and we've had so much fun. And I have to say, I get back on my airplane flight back home on Monday at 1:30 in the afternoon, and I don't want to do it. That's the best compliment I can pay this place. So there is Kim Min-song getting himself ready for another charge to the first turn on the far side. Just making sure that everybody is ready to form up with him in the V. Still got to wait for everybody. There is Jan Travnicek. And alongside him, Miroslav Kops with the 3 shorts. So you can see that they all carry their own individual signature race number, but for the purposes of identifying everybody in the race, they each have their own shorts number. Here is the lineup. Kim Min-song, Jan Travnicek, Miroslav Kops and Mark Andrews, Han Tai-hee, Yuan Song, Maxim Gavranov, Wu Yongkan, Jakob Kozon, Denis Duselek, Cao Zijun and Yan Zhitao. Forming up then in the V with Kim Min-song looking good for his run in pole position. Pretty much confirmed now as the stock champion for 2024. But of course it's all provisional and it will only be declared at the end of the day. But the finals are where everything is going to be sorted out in fine style. Are they going to be sent around again by Kim Min-song? Yes, I think they are, because there's still a few riders waiting. So they'll go around one more time. And then hopefully once they're formed up in their V formation, they will be able to charge for the start. So a fantastic scenario then for Kim Min-song. Hopeful to continue his championship winning weekend in fantastic fashion, just hoping to make sure that everybody's in formed up position around the course. Just a couple of riders out of line. Where's Kim Min-song going? He's taken them quite a long way out of the V now. So I think he's trying to get them formed up a little bit neater as he continues to run forward. And ironically enough, the decision to do that, it's taken us a bit of time, but the rain has actually stopped as a result of all of that. So perhaps Kim Min-song knew something we didn't. If I just pause this a little bit longer, we're not going to have any rain for this race, which will certainly help out the riders in Group B in the stock and stock rookies category on their Merlin Plus boards. So let's see if we can get a clean start straight off the bat in the Group B stock and stock rookies for Heat 3. Kim, Travnicek, Kops, Andrews, Han, Yuan, Gavranov, Wu, Kozon, Duselek, Cao and Yan. All the contenders then in position, hoping for a solid start. They're going to go around again. How frustrating. So everybody all lined up, ready in neat position to go for another race battle, and it looks as though they're going to have to go round one more time. So again, Kim Min-song has to control the pace of the riders as they form up for the V. But obviously a really tricky battle is in the offing as the contenders are hoping for a solid race of it. We're only running about 15 minutes or so behind schedule because of that heavy rain shower earlier on. So hopefully we're able to get ourselves back up to speed again without losing too much time, ready ahead of the finals later today. But it's certainly going to be a tricky one as all of the contenders are hoping for an exciting showcase. So now we're expecting a really tricky battle, but Kim Min-song controlling the pace of it, hoping that it's going to be a nice and easy charge forward to the first turn. Now they dip down, here we go. And it's going to be really close as they charge forward, 3 wide for second position. Look at Mark Andrews, hoping that he can go around the far side to work his way into third position. Bit of a slow start from Jan Travnicek, and that's perfect for Miroslav Kops. So Miroslav Kops gets into second position behind Kim Min-song. Mark Andrews in third place. Wide trajectory though, through to the parallels, and that's dropped him back down to fourth position again behind Travnicek. So a very tricky start to this race, but Kim Min-song controlling it from the field at the sharp end. Second position, no problem at all for Miroslav Kops. Then it is Jan Travnicek. In fourth place, it's the Canadian Mark Andrews, and everybody else just filtering their way through as best as possible. Very nearly a fall there for Jakob Kozon. So as they work their way through the first couple of laps, and there is an off on the way to turn 2, and I'm afraid it's caused a complete miss-boy for Yan Zhitao. So Yan Zhitao had to take avoiding action there, but I couldn't quite make out who it was. I think it might have been, I think that was possibly Han Tai-hee So I think the Korean rider Han Tae-hee having a bit of a moment there into turn one and going on. Right, Mark Andrews has decided he doesn't want to be in the traffic. He's gone for the long lap nice and early. So Mark Andrews decides to get out of this traffic jam. The Canadian fancies his chances in the top three. So he's going to play the short game here. Let's have another look. This is the incident. And there it is, just in behind the A of Dennis Duselec. It was Han Tae-hee. And that's poor Yan Zhitao having to miss the buoy completely in order to take avoiding action. So Kim Min-sung, once again, enjoying himself in the lead here. Having an absolutely fantastic ride of it out front. Storming their way through. In through the twisties. Look at these shots, absolutely brilliant. This isn't a sporting event, it's a Hollywood movie, the way these guys are being pursued here. Kim Min-sung into the long lap. He has so much aggression when he's in his A game. When he's in the zone, this is exactly the way he wants to play it. Just throws caution to the winds and launches his body into every apex. It's wonderful to watch. Comes back off the long lap, and he'll filter in perfectly. He's actually been followed by several competitors there, one of which is Miroslav Kurz, and I'm fairly sure that Jan Travnicek went with him as well. So where's Mark Andrews going to filter in? Where's Mark Andrews? He's going to be on the scene any moment now. So Kim Min-sung is there, back into the lead again. And behind him, that is the 6, I think, of Yuan Song. But where has Mark Andrews filtered in? Because he was the first one to take the long lap. Well, I wonder, did Mark Andrews take both his long laps? Because if that's the case, then he really is setting himself up for a decent charge to the finish. So I don't think Mark Andrews is out of this one at all yet in terms of the top three. The Canadian with a real chance to shine here. But it all comes down to where Miroslav Kurz and where Jan Travnicek can get an upper hand. Here is Jan Travnicek. Trying to close up and then finally has no issues dealing with Maxim Govranov. So Govranov gets out of the way. And there's a faller. There's a faller in the middle of the drink there. Now, who is that that's gone down? Who was that? Tough to tell on that particular run, but I think that might have been Dennis Duselec. So I think Dennis Duselec went into the drink there. We'll have to double check with a replay, but it's all gone badly wrong as Kim Min-sung holds on to it, still in the lead on his second long lap. So Dennis Duselec was just in behind Miroslav Kurz at that point. Jan Travnicek was obviously leading the race because he hasn't taken his second long lap yet. So Travnicek comes through in the lead, but he's going to be one of the last riders to take his second long lap. Mark Andrews took both of his long laps fairly early, it has to be said. So that's why he's filtered down the order. Let's have a replay. Here it is. Oh, it's all gone wrong for Han Tae for the second time. So Han Tae twice now, having big moments. And there is Jan Travnicek. So Jan Travnicek, I think, has just come into the water. He was the man who was leading the race at that point. So Jan Travnicek has had to recover. And this is great news for Kim Min-sung. When Jan Travnicek takes his second long lap, it's surely going to be Kim Min-sung back in the lead of the race again. And he's lost his goggles. He's lost his goggles, so that's disastrous. He's going to have a terrible last lap and a half because he's going to have water spraying into his face in the worst possible corners of the circuit. Let's see how it happened. Travnicek, oh, terrible bad luck for Travnicek. And look, the goggles have come off in the incident. So now Travnicek, to avoid not losing too much time, there goes Kim Min-sung past him into the lead as we expected he would. But Travnicek has got to finish this race with his goggles round his wrist. This is a disaster for Travnicek. He can't push full commitment because he can't see where he's going if he's too close to a rider in front of him. So this is disastrous for Jan Travnicek. He's going to race with one hand on the throttle, the other hand holding his goggles. And that's disastrous. That pretty much gives the victory to Kim Min-sung because Travnicek can't attack full aggression the way he would be able to normally. So Kim Min-sung is pretty much going to have this race on a silver plate now. 1 lap to go as he passes the timing line. So this is all going to be a plain sailing run for Kim Min-sung, who's taken back the lead from Jan Travnicek. Jakub Kozon finds himself in third now in front of Miroslav Kurz and Dennis Duselec. Mark Andrews hasn't quite made up the ground yet from his 2 trips around the long lap. But look at Jan Travnicek very much impeded by the fact that he has to hold his goggles, and he's going to take his second long lap. Devastation for Travnicek. It was a great strategy, but I think he's going to lose out now to Dusilek and Jakub Kozon as a result of that. Mark Andrews may get a crack at the podium before the end of this race is out, depending on when Dusilek and Kozon need to take their last long lap, if they haven't already done so. But this is perfect for Kim Min-sung. There's a rider in the drink, so Kim Min-sung's got to be careful at the yellow buoy. He makes it work, and so Kim Min-sung will just continue his perfect form here in Macau. He takes the checkered flag. Kim Min-sung dominates, and that's a brilliant victory again for Kim Min-sung. Now, we need to see who's going to come through for second, because we know it's not going to be Jan Travnicek now. He's still holding his goggles. He can't really race and put them back on. The time he would lose to readjust them is probably more time than it would take to lose ground by not being as aggressive. So we're waiting for second place, and I think it's going to be Denis Dusilek. So Denis Dusilek should be the one to come through for second. If not, it's going to be Jakub Kozon just ahead of Mark Andrews, as Jan Travnicek has dropped to the back of that group, and it is Dusilek who comes home for second, ahead of Kozon, Andrews, and Jan Travnicek. What a disappointment for Jan. Travex falls down to P5. Now, this is in the closing stages. Whoa! That's a complete washout alongside the 9 and the 5. So Kozon and Han Tae-hee had to take full avoiding action there on the last lap. And look, Kozon is like, well, you didn't even try to make the corner. So he clearly doesn't feel like Han Tae-hee really did the job there, but Kim Min-sung certainly did do the job. Victory, domination, destruction of the opposition for Kim Min-sung. He really is the man on form in these stock category races. He's been absolutely flawless from the get-go. Third victory out of 3. No wonder he's the Stock 2024 champion. So Kim Min-sung enjoying himself. He's clearly not going to celebrate until after the final. He just wants to finish the perfect sweep of a 72-point weekend. Look at poor Jan Travnicek creeping in with his goggles in his hand. And that just sums up how difficult his race has really been. What a shame. Well, done and dusted for Kim Min-sung then for the time being. And now they're going to whittle down the last group to give us the final 12 that will race for the honours in the stock category. And of course, we'll also have the stock rookie category. That's going to be where the battles are going to be won and lost. So there's just one final group. We're going to see some of the highlights of that previous race encounter. There's Han Tae-hee going down into the drink, giving chase at the time to Denis Dusilek, who made a fantastic recovery. Yan Jitao had to take avoiding action. That was a big one as well, as Han Tae-hee disappears for the second time in as many laps into the water. This was a big one. Jan Travnicek, and look, just clips the boy on the way through. And unfortunately, his goggles are off at that point. How close was Mark Andrews to tagging into the back of him there, though? So good recovery from Mark Andrews as a result of a very scary moment indeed there. So there is a rather irate Jakub Kozon. What? Han Tae-hee, didn't you see the corner? You've got to take it. I could take it, so why couldn't you? Unfortunately, he doesn't get to be the judge and the jury. He only gets to be the racer. But Jakub Kozon making his feelings very clearly felt there as he was battling away for third with Mark Andrews right to the line pretty much. Yan Jitao in 5th position. Jan Travnicek comes home in 6th in front of Miroslav Kups, Han Tae-hee, Maxim Gavronov and Woo Yong-kan, with non-starts for Yuan Song and Cao Zijun. But it's Kim Min-sung who takes the win ahead of Denis Dusilek and Jakub Kozon. And so there's just one group of stock and stock rookies to race before they get split up into stock rookies for their final and the stock riders for their final as well. Only the top 12 get to compete in the final. There is the future UIM MotoSurf World Champion 2034, getting himself ready for a fantastic show. He looks like he's enjoying himself. What a great way to spend a day in the pouring rain on the beach at Macau. Good lad. They make these young lads a fine, hearty stock here in Macau. They have the 4th highest living expectancy in the world, Macanese people. Must be something in the water, literally. So now we get our third and final group of racers in stock and stock rookie. And of course, after this race, the stock rookies will then be split into their own grid for their final, and the remaining top 12 in stock will go into their final later on indeed. And that, of course, will be broadcast live. Both races will be broadcast live on Brinks TV. Don't forget to have the free-to-play app downloading on your smartphone. Just search for Brinks TV in either your iOS or Android stores. And you can grab yourself a fantastic chance to free play bet along to predict who's going to win each of the heats. It really has been a sensational weekend so far, and we've still got a whole host of races before we even start to think about the word final. 6 races to go. The last heat of the stock and stock rookies ahead of us. So I think we're just waiting for the command from the officials to make sure that they're back in position again. But everybody really seems to be enjoying themselves in the 2024 UIM MotoSurf World Championship finale here at the Melco Style Grand Prix of Macau, the second Grand Prix of Macau, as that I'm sure is soon going to be known. They've been racing cars here on the streets of Macau for 71 years, and now they get to do so with these fantastic moto surfboards. Excellent display to come from these competitors once again. And we're going to have 12 more races. Kim Down will be the one who leads them away here. Kim Down, of course, the man who's just about managed to wrap up things in the Masters category, with Timotej Zubor running along with him, the Slovakian. And we should see the very impressive Feng Zhenghao really trying to push his way for the victory here as well. Trying to get some blood pumping there, the number 9, that is Fares Ramadan, one of the most talented riders in this field here. Junior Boy World Champion. Junior Boy World Champion after a fantastic run. And excellent performance from him last year to win the World Championship title. This year, of course, he has converted up to move into stock rookies, but he really wanted to have a spectacular charge forward. And it was a really sensational move forward for him to try and make his way back into position. But we've got ourselves a really exciting mix run forward as so many great competitors in this field. It's the most international of the fields that we've got in terms of class representation from the different countries that are represented here. We've got Kim Down of Korea, Timotej Zubor of Slovakia. We've got 3 races in this particular race alone from China, Feng Zhenghao, Zhu Linjing and Zhang Maozhu. We've got the Mexican Juan Pablo Urquidi, the Czech racer Vladimir Andel, America's Stefan Schember, and the Kuwaiti Fares Ramadan. Here is the full list of Group C, Heat 3, 6 laps ahead of them. Kim Down in 1, 2 is Timotej Zubor, 3 is Feng Zhenghao, 4 is Zhu Linjing, 5 is Zhang Maozhu, 6 is Juan Pablo Urquidi, 7 is Vladimir Andel, 8 is Stefan Schember, 9 is Fares Ramadan, A is Vacharasak Jantorn, B is Lorenzo Tanda, and C is Mike Michailidis. So the competitors gearing themselves up for a good show as we go to battle one more time in the stock and stock rookies before they charge forward for the final race of the day in both categories. And the race after this one, it's the Brinks Cup. The elites will come out once again. The Formula One of MotoSurf, the 10 best riders in the world, will charge around for another great duel. So they're just gesturing to the riders to form up as quickly as possible after they've warmed up the boards. Just very briefly saw Hassan Bawabas creeping past our position and enjoying the moment after giving Kuwait their first victory in MotoSurf. Wonder if he can do it in the final. That would be spectacular. We believe, Hassan. Go on, my friend. So Kim Down, working his magic on the far side of the course to get everybody into position, gridded up. Kim Down, part of the Rocket Racing team, of course, hoping to continue making strong work of the people around him. So we're going to see some truly spectacular battles from our contenders again. And we'll get to see them put on a really exciting showcase. Everybody knowing exactly what's going to face them in the latter stages of this race. But it's certainly going to be a tough run for all of them. So now the contenders are looking forward to seeing how this all plays out in the closing stages of our race battle. Everybody's still watching and keeping a tight brief on how things are going to conclude. But this is definitely going to be a tricky race now. Kim Down for the Rocket Racing team. There with Timotej Zubor of his own exclusive Moto Shop team. This is looking like a very well gridded V so far, as long as we can get it all together and running in close proximity. The Chinese pair there getting very close together, Weng Zhenghao and Zhu Linjing, very nearly tripping over each other in the V. So as long as the start is well formed, we should be able to go racing. I think that looks good to me. So hopefully we're going into race stream, and we are indeed. And what a rocket launch of a start from the number 4, charging forward. No, that's the 5 even. That is Zhang Maozhu. What an incredible launch from Zhang Maozhu. Up into second position already, trying to take on Kim Down. I wonder how quick that really was for him. Did he actually jump the start a bit there? And of course, if he did jump the start, then a penalty's coming. But certainly for the moment, Zhang Maozhu leaving everybody in no doubt as to how determined he is to pick off a victory from Kim Down. Everybody else has tried and failed and not quite managed it. And Zhang Maozhu determined to hold on in front of Timotej Zubor off the parallels. They came so close together there. And it's Zhang Maozhu that holds on a second position. Mighty racing on the opening lap. So Kim Down leads the way. Zhang Maozhu in second. Timotej Zubor is third. And as the rest of the riders work their way forward, it's going to be tricky from there. Up to fourth position is Faraz Ramadan. Faraz Ramadan has worked his way forward into fourth position. So the rookie rider, Faraz Ramadan, absolutely determined to fight for this rookie championship. He's got a great chance of it, the form he's in here this weekend in Macau. He was only a few points back from the championship leader, Dennis Duselec. So this could be Faraz Ramadan's chance to really knock on the door of winning this World Championship title. All points count this weekend. There are no drop scores. So Faraz Ramadan is just trying to pick off win after win after win. So Ramadan doing the best he can as he runs in close proximity. There is your man up front, Kim Down. Still enjoying himself. The Korean looking very good. So Kim Down working hard here. Through the right, through the left. Battle is very close indeed behind him, as well as Faraz Ramadan is really starting to hunt down Timotej Zubor. So Zubor still in third position for the moment. Who's going to go for their long lap at this point? Certainly not the leader. Kim Down carries on. What about these riders battling for second position? Is anyone going for the long lap? Yes, indeed. Timotej Zubor is. So Zubor goes for the long lap rather than sticking behind Zhang Maozhu for a while. So there is Timotej Zubor on the long lap. Gets out of the draft of Zhang Maozhu, as look at the smooth, crisp turns of Kim Down. Even in these tricky conditions when the waves have really intensified, he's having a great race of it, and he's already, he nearly clattered into the buoy there on the exit of the parallels, but he's getting caught up behind the Italian Lorenzo Tanda. So he's having to bail off the throttle a little bit here, as there is Timotej Zubor rejoining after his long lap. And he's actually getting stuck there behind the American Stefan Schember. So he's got to be careful about his timing through the whitewater. But certainly at the moment, Kim Down, the dominant force, gets a lap on his closest rider. He's already got ahead of Lorenzo. Well, he's still following in behind Lorenzo Tanda, but he puts his hand in the air. I'm going to get out of this draft, thank you. I'm going to go and take the long lap, which he does. So Kim Down, getting close to that top speed that these boards can reach. 70 kilometers an hour is the top speed on these boards, 30 kilos of weight. Add that to a very impressive 11 horsepower from these 100cc engines. And it really is a fantastically fast piece of kit. So Kim Down has taken his most recent long lap. Now, who's that in front of him giving him a little bit of aggro as he gets held up behind the slower rider there? Who is that causing some headaches? That is I want to say that's Weng Zhenghao on the 3, as we currently watch Zhang Maozhu, who is, of course, currently now the race leader, based on the fact that he hasn't taken both of his long laps. Yeah, and he's gone down into the water. Zhang Maozhu bangs his fist on the board. How did I let that get away from me? Well, he's only lost about 5 seconds, but that's enough when you're battling against someone of the might of Kim Down. So if you are Zhang Maozhu, you do not want to let a mistake like that creep in too often. Well, the reason that Kim Down was pushing was because he's got Timotei Zubor right behind him. Here is Zhang Maozhu. Whoops. Just a little bit too much commitment. And there's the frustration. He gets himself back into position again. He's now taken his long lap. So by the time he re-emerges, surely Kim Down's going to get ahead of him. And I think Timotei Zubor might as well. So there is Timotei Zubor. Yeah, he's got ahead. That's so unfortunate for Zhang Maozhu, as Timotei Zubor and Kim Down both decide to take their long laps on this lap as well. So for the moment, again, it is going to be Zhang Maozhu who takes back the lead, but he still needs to make his second long lap. So it's still very close and even between these riders, as Zhang Maozhu, of course, currently leads the way. But he's going to take his second long lap on the last lap. So that, I think, is going to hand the lead of this race back then to Kim Down ahead of Timotei Zubor, who is still pushing as hard as he possibly can. And there is Fares Ramadan, who is looking good for a podium here. If he can keep pushing, he's going to find himself ahead of Zhang Maozhu. But it's all going to come down to how well he's able to push it. Slight difficulties with the camera lens, as you can see here, of the weather conditions. Making it a little bit tricky for us, but hopefully that'll correct itself very soon indeed. But there is Fares Ramadan, still working his way through the tight and twisty sections of the course. So a very tricky end to the lap then for Kim Down ahead of Timotei Zubor. Zhu Linjing has actually waited till the very last moment to take his long lap as well. So he's going to have his own difficulties. So as they continue to push their way further forward, we can still see it's close between Kim Down and Timotei Zubor. Feng Zhenghao is still in the mix there as well, because he hasn't taken his second long lap. So still the battle is raging, as there is Yaman, the number one, still pushing hard here. That is Kim Down. Well, fortunately, it looks as though it's all corrected itself on the pictures there. So Kim Down ahead of Timotei Zubor. Fares Ramadan is really closing in on these two. So when we finish off the long lap, it's going to be fascinating to see where Fares Ramadan filters in. There he is. He's climbed his way to third position. So Ramadan has done an amazing job to catch up to the likes of the leaders up front. But here comes Kim Down. It's going to be a victory. He'll pour through out of the final turn, and Kim Down will get the triple, just as the same way that Kim Min-song did. Second position, no problem at all for Timotei Zubor. But in third position, Fares Ramadan picks up another winning rookie. What a weekend the Kuwaiti is having. So I think that's going to be Fares Ramadan looking at pole position in stock rookie for the final later. Absolutely brilliant. And Fares Ramadan finishing well clear of the Cypriot Mike Michailidis and ahead of the Italian Lorenzo Tanda. So Fares Ramadan looking so good now to win the stock rookie race later, and with that could well come the championship. So there's a lot at stake here for Fares Ramadan. And he will want to put in as much effort as he can to this last race of the season. It could well make him the stock rookie champion just a year after winning the Junior Boy World Championship. He could make it 2 world titles in a row. So all those people watching back home in the Middle East, watching in Kuwait, you've not just got one decent racer, you've got two, because you've got Hassan Bouabbas, having just taken his first win in the stock race earlier on, and now in stock rookie, Fares Ramadan might not just take the win in the final, but could even win the World Championship. So now we return to the Kingdom of Awesomeness. The Brinks Cup is back out on the beach once again. Don't forget to fire up your Brinks TV apps on your smartphone devices, whether you're on iOS or Android. It's free to download, it's free to play, and you can choose who your favorite rider is to win each race as they happen. Look at the camaraderie there between Mike Michailidis and Fares Ramadan. And Fares Ramadan doing a fantastic job to win there, to put the Kuwait flag on the top of the dais, for the moment at least, in the stock rookies category. So a fabulous situation for our contenders with just a handful of races to go before we get to the big show. 5 races left before our break. And then once we've had our break, it's finals time. But first, we get a sneak preview of what the Brinks Cup is going to look like. And the elite riders will gear up for another exciting show. The 10 best riders in MotoSurf in this paddock, going wheel to wheel, or I should say blade to blade, having an absolutely fantastic run around this course. Alex Lukscheider, Lukas Jaworski, Matej Kozicek, Lukas Kozon, Dominik Kadlic, Matis Novotny, Marek Skamler, Jakob Kornvel, Kim Min-song and Jiri Wolf are going to be very close together as the waves start to push the tide further in. But the course is hopefully going to get a little bit easier to race as it does so. As the tide comes further in, the waves should hopefully balance out a little more evenly on that far side. So we should be able to get a little bit more smooth in terms of the course. But we've got 3 multiple champions of the world in this grid now. We can say that without any worry of hesitation. Several contenders who have won World Championship titles across the various classes. But in Elite, this really is the Formula 1 of MotoSurf. Unlike some of the other classes, they can literally tweak and change and adjust setups any way they want in Elite. So if they can find a little bit more opportunity to find a little more top-end speed, they can do it. They can go exploring. Used to be known as Open class. Now, of course, it is Elite because it's been separated between Elite and Master. The only 2 formulas where you can make the tweaks. I'm told that in the Masters, they generally choose not to do so. They generally choose to just leave the board as it is. But in the Elite, they really are looking for every single ounce of extra speed and extra cornering ability they can. Here we are then, the Brinks Cup starting lineup in Heat 3. 8 laps, plus 2 long laps, of course, in there. Alex Lukscheider is 1. 2 is Lukas Jaworski. 3 is Matej Kozicek. 4 is Lukas Kozon. 5 is Dominik Kadlic. 6 is Matis Novotny. 7 is Marek Skamler. 8 is Jakob Kornvel. 9 is Kim Min-song. And 8 is Jiri Wolf. The 10 best MotoSurf riders in the world. And they are venturing out into the ocean. Led off by Kim Min-song, who's not waiting around. So now they will continue the duel. The Brinks Cup. In terms of points, it's pretty much all done and dusted, but obviously the world champion will not be officially declared until they conclude the final. So Matis Novotny, the man who's already been celebrating in the paddock, they want to finish the job and seal the deal, as there is Dominik Kadlic getting back into the ocean. No worries at all there for Kim Min-song, having stepped off his stock board, now going into the elite competition as well. Excuse me, there are definite opportunities to race multiple classes. And of course, we would have seen that from the likes of Lukas Jaworski in previous weekends. Of course, he won the Electric Challenge this year in 2024. Their championship concluded last time out in Zadar in Croatia. But now that man, Matis Novotny, is about to finish his season on a high note. Mathematically, now he cannot be caught in the championship fight, but he still has to finish the job and make sure he is done and dusted. Of course, any disqualifications or anything would mean he'd score no points, so he's got to be fairly focused still on finishing off the job. So it isn't over until the fat lady sings, and she's only going to get her vocal cords warmed up in the finals. So these racers still just trying to bookmark their positions on the starting grid for the finals, the Brinks Cup. And there is the number 2, the 6-time world champion, Lukas Jaworski. The man who, if you cracked his leg open, it would read MotoSurf through it like Blackpool Rock. The guy has absolute confidence, pure determination. And he's been so exciting to watch over the course of this weekend. There's Matej Kozicek, another fearless former world champion. So many great races in this field. These guys literally leave nothing to chance. Nothing is left on the table. These guys are so determined to push for it. The toughest class in the entire field, the Formula 1 of MotoSurf. These are the 10 most technical, most talented, and certainly the most unfathomable riders in this paddock. Just warming up the boards to get them into race trim. But now it's all up to the pole sitter, Alex Lukscheider, for the Apex pilots to get them ready into position. Expect a really tough race now. Alex Lukscheider for the Apex pilots, alongside Lukas Jaworski for Rocket Racing. Then Matej Kozisek for Hard Racing FG. Lukas Kozon of the Klima Race team. Dominik Kadlic for Samahir Motor. Matis Novotny, also of the Rocket Racing team. Teammates with Lukas Jaworski. Then, of course, 7 is Marek Skamler of the Monaco Bet MS Racing team. Jakub Kornfeil for the Apex pilots. Kim Min-song for Team Full-Cell. And Jiri Wolf of the Otto Centrum Viskov squad. So the elites are in position or lined up. Are we going to go racing straight away? Looks pretty neat and tidy for me. And I think we're going to get into race trim. The contenders are ready. They will duck down in positions and then they will charge forward. Looks like we're going to be in a good position here for the start. Is everybody ready to go to battle? And we are racing. Great start up at the sharp end from Alex Lukscheider. No problems at all. Matis Novotny's got an absolute flyer. Trying to come right round the outside of Matej Kozisek off the start. Could get level with Lukas Jaworski by the time they get to the parallels. He's really starting to fizz in. And he's done it round the far side. Getting level with Lukas Jaworski and in a second position. What a rocket ship of a launch from Matis Novotny. Into P2, chasing down Alex Lukscheider. The confidence of yesterday has put him right up there. And now side by side, the two of them. So nearly they come together. Novotny trying to hold it round the far side. And they almost clatter into each other. Lukas Jaworski versus Matthias Novotny. This isn't MotoSurf, it's war. Brilliant between these two. And a bit of a trip there for Jaworski, the 6-time world champion. Unsettled by his teammate. The full confidence of Matthias Novotny. So Jaworski being chased down by Novotny, who so nearly got ahead of Matthias, who so nearly got ahead there of Lukas Jaworski. He's got to try and find another trick to get ahead. 8 laps and 2 long laps. My goodness me, Matthias Novotny wants to show the world. I'm a 2-time world champion and I'm the new king of the water. But Alex Lukscheider really enjoying life here in Macau and having a great race of it. And again, the riders all trying to choose the same tack, really, as they go through the parallels. There is Lukas Kozon trying to stay with our top 3. Matej Kozisek is the one who's dropped back a little bit in the first couple of laps. But out in front, Alex Lukscheider, no worries. 2nd for Lukas Jaworski, 3rd for Matis Novotny. And in 4th place now, that is Lukas Kozon, ahead of Dominik Kadlic and Jakub Kornfeil. So Matej Kozisek has fallen all the way to 8th place, with Kim Min-song and Jiri Wolf losing ground. So as the racers work their way through then, it's all going to be about timing when they decide to take their long lap. Alex Lukscheider just pushing as hard as he knows how. As into the long lap goes Matis Novotny, and also right behind him, that is going to be Lukas Kozon. So those 2 riders go together then in the long lap. The others have stayed out, so Alex Lukscheider and Lukas Jaworski still fairly evenly matched. Going to see some really close battles in the final later, aren't we? These guys are just getting warmed up. You can sense that they're holding back just a tiny bit. They want to go full guns blazing in the Brinks Cup. So through to the final couple of laps before their preparation of that final. This 3rd and final heat. Can Alex Lukscheider make it 3 wins out of 3? Certainly looking good for it at the moment. Could go for the perfect 72 score, but Matthias Novotny doesn't need a perfect score. He just needs enough to stay favourable in the championship fight. Looks good as he works his way out of the parallels, still ahead of Lukas Kozon. And still no persuasion into the long lap yet for either Lukscheider or Jaworski. So these 2 riders still working each other's magic here, as Alex Lukscheider is still doing his best for the Apex pilots, leading the way out in the front, looking so calm and composed at the moment. Looks really good at the moment, well balanced. Tucks his way through as he continues this incredible route forward. But up they go again. Still finding that little bit extra. And into the long lap for the 2nd time now goes Novotny and Lukas Kozon. So before the leaders have even taken their first long lap, Novotny and Kozon have taken both of theirs. So they've decided to be very tactical here and go on the long term. And Alex Lukscheider is still not going on the long lap. Now, what about behind it? Well, behind him, Zahorski has done so. So Zahorski does go for the long lap, but still, Alex Lukscheider stays out. Now, in the elites, obviously, they've got an 8-lap heat, but they've got to take the long lap twice, and we're on lap 5, and Lukscheider has not gone for a long lap once yet, so he's certainly leaving his long laps till the very last moment. But he clearly wants to enjoy the rhythm that he's got out in the lead of the race. Why change something if it's not going to be a problem? So he comes across the line, having completed 5 laps, 3 to go, 2 of which have got to be long laps now for Alex Lukscheider. There is Mattis Novotny as he comes through. So Mattis Novotny trying his best to continue this charge forward. He's still got a lot of time to make up on Lukas Zahorski, because obviously he's taken his long lap twice, and Zahorski's only taken it once, and that is Lukas Kozon. Lukas Kozon goes down just in front there of Dominik Kadlic. Very unfortunate indeed there for Lukas Kozon. He was giving chase to Mattis Novotny all the way through that sector, and into the long lap finally for the first time goes Alex Lukscheider. Takes a very wide trajectory on the way through the hairpin. That's a lot of time lost, but here's Kozon. He trips over the boy. Never going to get out of that one. How did number 5, Dominik Kadlic, avoid going with him? Very well reacted there for Kadlic, but Alex Lukscheider, having gone onto the long lap for the first time, has actually made a couple of errors on the long lap. He didn't quite get the inside hairpin trajectory that he would have liked. He had to go fairly wide out of it. So I would not say this is over yet. He's still got to take his second long lap. It'll be fascinating to see where Lukas Zahorski winds up when he comes off his second long lap. So let's keep an eye on Alex Lukscheider. Comes out of the parallel. He's still got a huge lead, but that's because his rivals have taken both their long laps. He's only taken 1. So here he comes across. So that's now 2 laps to go, one of which has got to be a long lap. So will Lukscheider do it first or second? Oh, he's nearly losing it. Right in one of the toughest parts of the course. As we now keep an eye on Lukas Kozon, who is being hunted down here by the number 3 of Matěj Kozisek. So Matěj Kozisek, I think, has taken his second long lap and therefore fallen back behind Lukas Kozon for the time being. So Kozon needs to take his second long lap, and Kozisek does as well. So expect these two both to come in for long laps. I think Lukas Kozon is actually leaving both his long laps till the bitter end. Yeah, there he goes for the long lap, and watch, Kozisek is going to carry on for one more before he takes his final long lap. So what's going to happen now is we need to really see where Lukscheider is going to filter back in. That's going to be the key factor now. Where does Lukscheider filter? Well, there is Zahorski, and there is Mattis Novotny in front of him. So Mattis Novotny has leapfrogged ahead of Lukas Zahorski. But where is Lukscheider? He can't be far away from these two now. There's Lukscheider. And where is Mattis Novotny in relation to him? He's only a couple of corners back. So this is a great push now from Mattis Novotny into second place, trying to hunt down Lukscheider, who will now appear pretty much on the right of your screen. So Lukscheider still in front of these two, but not by much. There is Lukscheider, there is Novotny, there is Zahorski. That's how close it is between these three. So it's all down to Lukscheider now. He's got to stay upright. Novotny has done the hard work to get ahead of Lukas Zahorski. That's the new double world champion, having got ahead of the 6-time world champion, Lukas Zahorski. So can Mattis Novotny do any more damage to the lead held by Alex Lukscheider? Look at Zahorski. Zahorski really putting pressure on Mattis Novotny. Trying desperately to get close enough, but he's just in white water. How hard can he really push him? Lukscheider, Novotny, and Zahorski, the three best riders in the field, so close together. And Zahorski really putting pressure on Novotny as they go into the parallels for the last time. Zahorski goes left as Novotny goes right. Oh, it's Zahorski getting very close in on the apex there. How close are they going to be when they exit the parallel? Zahorski right in tight now behind Novotny. They've made some gains on Lukscheider, but it's not going to be enough. Lukscheider's going to get the victory just in front of Novotny and Zahorski. Oh my goodness. The three best riders in the world absolutely locked together at the end of a very exciting heat. Imagine what it's going to be like when they come out for the final. The Brinks Cup is going to be must-see water sport. Wow! How close was that between Lukscheider, Novotny and Zahorski right to the bitter end? But Alex Lukscheider is invincible in Macau. 3 heats, 3 victories, and that's what it means to him. Great celebrations from Alex Lukscheider. That'll do nicely. 3 out of 3. And that means a full score of 56 points from the heats so far. Matis Novotny has come away with 2/3 and a second, and that puts him on 36, I do believe. Excellent performance from him. That should mean he's uncatchable in the championship race, but of course there is one race still to go, the Brinks Cup final, which will be taking place live on Brinks TV later this afternoon. So exciting, that race. Imagine what these three are going to be like when they lock horns and go together, blade to blade, fighting for every inch. Can't wait. A little bit of a moment there for Jiri Wolf, I do believe. So Jiri Wolf has had a bit of a moment where he's ended up in the water. And the officials just want to make sure that Jiri Wolf can get back. I wonder if he's flooded the engine. So the provisional result then, Alex Lukscheider takes the victory in front of Matis Novotny, who comes up to second place in the end, then ahead of Lukas Zahorski after a great race between the three. Literally, the three riders only separated at the flag by 1.7 seconds. Amazing. Fourth place for Dominik Kadlic, ahead of Lukas Kojon, and then Mate Kozisek ahead of Jakob Kornfeld, Kim Min-song, Marek Skamler, and Jiri Wolf, who sadly only completed 6 of the 8 allotted laps. Well, we've only got a few races left. We're going to go straight in with the juniors as they will get their third and final heats. For Group A, it's Sara Zuborova who lines up at the front with Jinghao Zheng in front of Barbara Kodorova. 4 is Sebastian Kosteleczki. Then Ryder Sawangwan ahead of Zhang Rushan. 7 is Max Hrushka. 8 is Ender Jorgenschila. 9 is Yan Liwan. Then A is Li Jingmeng. B is Rosalia Janora. And C is Gao Jin. So the juniors get themselves ready to go. The boys and the girls race together, of course, until we get to the finals. Then the junior boys have their own race. The junior girls have their own race. But so far, over the course of the weekend, the girls have actually been stronger than the boys in the junior category on the whole, because we've had some great performances from both Sara Zuborova and Kristina Hybkova across the two groups. And they've been stronger, moreover, than the boys have been. So it's been really exciting to watch how they've all filtered themselves out through the heats. So now we're going to watch again very closely as the riders are set to have another great race out there. But thank goodness the worst of the weather has obviously dealt with these riders before the previous races were all sorted out. Loving the method of keeping warm and dry down on the start-finish straight there. Melco style, here of course in their fantastic array of personnel. It's been great to have them as our title sponsor for this first ever UIM World Championship MotoSurf visit to Macau, for what is, I'm fairly sure now, going to be recognised as Macau's second Grand Prix, because of course they have the motor race that took place a week ago for touring car drivers, for GTs, for bikes and for single-seaters. Now of course a week later we're on the water, the MotoSurf World Championship for the UIM. And the Melco style Grand Prix of Macau, what an amazing battle this has turned out to be for everybody. Some great racing so far, and we really have had some fantastic duels from all of the competitors as they run in close proximity. But we are getting ourselves ready now for the run in Group A. Sara Zuborova from Zheng Jinghao, Barbara Kodorova and Sebastian Kosteleczki, and then we have Ryder Sawangwan from Zhang Rushan, Maximilian Hrushka, and then Ender Jorgenschila from Yuan Liwen, Li Jimeng, Rosalia Janora of Poland, and Gao Jin of China. And this is the penultimate race of the day for the juniors before they get themselves into the hunt for the finals later on in the day. So we have obviously got 7 races across the finals later on after the lunch break, but these juniors have really given us a fantastic show over the course of these proceedings. So the battle is going to be very intense then for these final few races. We've only got 4 heats now before our lunch period, and that's going to be about 45 minutes or so, give or take the briefing that's added on to the actual lunch break. Look at these juniors. They are absolutely loving life in Macau. Don't forget that for these juniors, this is the first time they will ever have raced outside of Europe in the Middle East. So a great opportunity for them. Certainly here at Macau, they've put on a fantastic showcase so far. And really exciting to see how it's all played out for the time being. But we're going to see some really great duels amongst the competitors. Heat 3 in the juniors in Group A. And what can Sara Zubarova do? Can she make this the perfect triple? Having had some great performances in the earlier races, it's now time to see if she can finish off the hat-trick. But it's certainly been a sensational battle so far for all of the contenders. They've given us plenty of exciting races so far. But there's even more to come from the competitors across the junior competitions. Melco Style out here in force and doing an absolutely sensational run out on the course at the moment. Barbara Kodorova and Sebastian Kosteleczki were the riders who took victory in the very first heat, of course, in the junior battle prior to this. And then, of course, earlier on, we had victories for Sara Zubarova, who did a great job in her earlier performance. So there's going to be some more spectacular battles. I have just been informed that the Masters category is actually going to have no races for Heat 3. So there will be no Heat 3 races for the Masters. They will go straight in to their finals. So that is a very important change to our schedule then. So that has been updated very shortly. So in fact, we're not going to get 4 races to go before the finals because the Masters are not going to come out for their third heats. So the third heats for Masters have now been suspended. They're not going to happen. So we're only going to have the 2 junior 3 heats, and then we will have our pause, and then we will go to the finals. So on this occasion, the Masters are not going to have a third heat. So that has been an adaptation to the schedule. So that means we will have our 2 junior races, then we will have our break, and then we'll have our briefing, and then the Masters will kick off for their final. Then we'll have the juniors, the stocks, the women, and the elites. It's going to be an incredible day of racing here for the finals, and everybody is really excited about what we can get to see. I think the Masters, they're the category essentially that ultimately we can afford to lose a heat from them if they wish to. The riders are over the age of 40. They're probably here just as much for the fun as they are for the racing. So if there's one category in the whole lineup that I suppose you can afford to lose one of the heats of, it probably is the Masters. So the juniors will get one last chance to race and form up for their starting grid. And the Masters will battle away for their final race of the season in a short while. But they will now be the first final of the day rather than in the middle of the group. Nice picture on the start-finish straight then, on the beachfront for the Melco Style personnel. Really enjoying being the invited hosts here of the very first UIM MotoSurf World Championship event to take place on Coleraine Island here in Macau. And what a spectacular show it has been. Just a week after the famous Macau Grand Prix ran for the 71st time, here we are on Coleraine Island, just a few miles south of the Grand Prix race circuit starting line, to have a very different Grand Prix. So these youngsters enjoying the shoreline here in Coleraine Island in a fantastic day of all sorts of weather conditions. It's finally started to cool off a little bit. The wind is not as intense as it was. The rain is not quite as spectacular as it used to be. So we're now finally getting into a bit more semblance of normality. And the weather conditions now make it a little bit easier for us to go racing. So we've got 2 races still to go before we reach the finals. The juniors will come out for the first of their 2 final heats. 5 laps plus the Joker, of course. Running a little bit delayed in terms of a schedule, behind our new schedule, as it were. Running about 6 minutes behind time, and I'm not entirely sure what the reason is for this delay. Certainly looks as though the marshals are poised and in position, so there could be a slight error somewhere technically, but we're not entirely sure what the hold-up is. We certainly haven't had any particular indication as to what that is for the moment, but there should be just 2 more heats left before we get to our finals, and they are the junior categories, made up, of course, of 2 International World Championship competitions, the junior girl and junior boy categories. They will finally be separated into their own finals, but what we've certainly proven over the course of this weekend is that the fastest competitors amongst the juniors appear to be the girls on the whole, because we've had some great performances from the likes of Barbara Kolorova, Sara Zuborova and Kristina Hebkova, who have actually pound for pound and consistently been quicker than the boys, although Adam Kolar has definitely had a point to prove this weekend by putting in some spectacular shows at this point. So all the contenders then gearing themselves up ready for the next part of the show. So now we get the command, the whistle goes, and finally the riders in the juniors will take to the water. And it's going to be a fascinating battle for our contenders then in Group A. 2 competitions in one, of course. And we'll have the girls take on the boys. There's going to be 7 boys and 5 girls in this particular race. But do not think for a moment that Sara Zuborova and Barbara Kolorova are going to be pushovers for the boys in this particular group. And so the contenders get themselves ready to race. And the contenders are just getting those boards warmed up for the penultimate race before we go to finals mode here in the UIM MotoSurf World Championship, the Melco Style Grand Prix of Macau. So on the top of the board there goes Zheng Jinghao. And Zheng Jinghao definitely with an opportunity to put the boys on top here. Sara Zuborova, obviously the leader for pole position. There is Zhang Rushan, another of the talented boys in the junior boy category. Don't forget that these are the youngsters, the youngest competitors in the field. Oh, a bit of a moment there for Max Hrushka. Clearly something not quite right with his board fire up initially, but now he seems to have got the hang of things. It's quite funny at that particular point because everybody's still trying to get everything warmed up. There is Sara Zuborova, the very talented young Slovakian rider. Hoping that this is all perfect in terms of setup, just trying to adjust the foot bindings as well. You'll also be able to spot the competitors deciding to do different stances. If the rider starts with the left foot forward, it's known as the regular stance. If they start with right foot forward, it is known as goofy. But interestingly, it's got absolutely no relation to whether you're right-handed or left-handed. It all comes down to the feel of the rider. If they feel more comfortable with right foot forward, then obviously they can choose to do that. If they feel more comfortable with left foot forward, they can choose to do that as well. It all comes down to personal preference. But left foot forward is known as regular, right foot forward is known as goofy. So let's see, are we going to go straight to start? No, we're going to go around another time because Sara Zuborova has led them to go round once more. The V formation is led by her and dictated by her in terms of speed. And then, of course, the juniors will have just 5 laps, 2 of which need to be joker. Then they'll have another heat for the second group, and then we will take our pause in proceedings. When we come back, we'll be deep in finals mode. So now it all comes down to Sara Zuborova, and is giving the signal to go around again. So clearly Sara Zuborova not ready to form up the V. So as they all venture forward, we can talk about the riders one more time before the start of the race. 1 is Sara Zuborova, 2 is Zheng Jinghao, 3 is Barbara Kolorova, 4 is Sebastian Kostelski, 5 is Ryder Sawangwan, 6 is Zhang Rushan, 7 is Max Hrushka, 8 is Enda Yogachila, 9 is Yuan Li Wen, A is Li Jimeng, B is Rosalia Janora, and C is Gao Jin. Bit of a conversation going on there between Rosalia Janora of Poland and the pole sitter Sara Zuborova. Well, fascinating. Not quite sure what's happening there, but clearly Sara Zuborova having a bit of a conversation with the leaders of the pack, or the latter riders in the pack. So what's happening here? They're going all the way around the course by the look of it. Well, we're not starting the race, that's for sure. So I'm not entirely sure what's happening here, but the riders essentially going through part of the course together, and they're working their way through the parallels. It's almost like they're being given another practice start in the juniors. Someone's gone down on the way through. So that is a very unfortunate start to the race for Yan Li Wen, but I'm not entirely sure what's happening here because they weren't given the command to start, but they're working their way back through the course as if it is a race start. It's almost as if some of the riders, I wonder if Rosalia Janora said to Zara Zubarova, can you just do a lap of the course? Because we want to have a practice run. Well, I'm not sure you're supposed to do that in the third heat. Because I know you get a practice start in heat number 1, but in heat number 2, I don't think you do that, nor do you in heat number 3. But Rosalia Janora kind of asks Sara Zubarova to do so, forces the issue, and of course there's 3 riders who are now no longer part of the V, so they've got to catch up to it. So I'm not entirely sure, A, why they did that, and B, what triggered that to happen in the first place. But anyway, it looks as though they are now forming back into the V for their third and final junior heat. And look at that. The clouds have started to shift. Sara Zubarova waving them around again. Goodness me, when are we going to get this race started? Most likely we're going to get it when all of the riders are ready to go, because one of them is actually in the water just after the finish line. So one of them just having to start back up again and rejoin the gaggle. So Zubarova, Zheng, Kodorova, Kostelechki, Sawangwan, Zhang, Hryska, Jorgen Schieler, Yuan, Li, Janora, and Gao. So everybody filtering in position. The jet ski is in the background. Surely this is when they're going to get their command to start the race. It's going to be quite tight as they go through. Waving again, going round again. How many false starts is that in this race? It's got to be at least 5 now. So the jet ski is going to push on back to the far side again, ready to line up back into position again. But the jet ski is actually coming back to the jury. It's actually going back to get some communication from the officials as the youngsters go back in position once again. So I think they're going to get a 6th false start. There's some form of communication going on here. Now it looks like they're getting a replacement buoy. So clearly one of the buoys is not quite functional, so they're having to adjust a buoy so that they can actually go racing again. Now this is obviously unscheduled. They're having to do this on the fly, but this is a safety precaution. It's a bit like when there's a big accident in a racing car and you have to replace a part of the barriers. It's happening again here. So it's this particular buoy that has to be replaced, and you can see why, because it's sunk. So basically it's no longer functional as a buoy. It's completely deflated. So now they have to swap it out for another buoy. And they can obviously change it around with the new one. You've got to make sure that it goes in exactly the same spot, of course. They can't change the race course for the riders. So a slight delay while that buoy is being repaired. But fortunately, the 2 Masters races prior to this were actually removed from the schedule. So that does give us a tiny bit of extra time to play with there. Although, of course, the second junior race should be starting at 15:15 now. So we are running a little bit behind the time. So now the contenders just having to pause while they're waiting for that repair to take place. And we'll have to see how it all completes itself, hopefully in a good position, hopefully in a good manner too. So what an opportunity. So now the riders will get the chance once this replacement buoy has been put into position. It is now where it's supposed to be. That's good news. They can move off from it there and back into position. So now the marshals can pick up the riders who are going around for yet another rotation. I think this is now, technically speaking, I think this is now 7 aborted starts. And who's that in trouble? That's Rosalia Janora. So Rosalia Janora, the Polish rider, has come back to the shore. So something's not gone right there for Rosalia Janora. How many problems can go on before the start of one heat? Well, the stand is brought over for Rosalia Janora's board. They're desperately trying to get the race started again. Fortunately, the safety team are still in the process of sorting things out. So Sara Zubarova can send them around for another formation lap one more time. My goodness me. What a tough situation. So it's definitely going to be an interesting one for the contenders as they run in close proximity. but we'll have to see how it all phases out with the contenders after Rosalia Genora is likely to miss the start. Okay, so Rosalia Genora is clearly having a technical issue, but she's only got 2 minutes to rectify it before she's counted out of the race. That's why they're desperately trying to fix it. They're actually doing an engine change by the look of it. So they're swapping engines by the look of it on Rosalia Genora's board. One of her crew has basically run over to swap it. Oh, actually, it looks like the fuel tank they're having to change. So clearly something wrong with the feed pipe to the engine or something along the lines of that, but they're actually having to swap the whole fuel tank. But they're running out of time here. They're going around again because they can only give riders 2 minutes. Once they go past 2 minutes, that's it, they're out. So Rosalia Genora, this is a bit like in boxing when they're on the floor and they're being counted out. So Rosalia Genora desperately trying to fix her board in the hope that she can get back onto racing again. Quickly, guys, you've only got 2 minutes. Get on with it. Have they got the board fixed again? We will have to find out. Fire it up and see if it goes. Because this is probably the last time that Sara Zubarova can send them round one more time. I don't think they'll get another chance. Right, they've fired her board up. So can Rosalia Genora rejoin the field? Come on, Rosalia. Let's hope that she's back in. Yes, that's more like it. There we go. So we are going to have a full field of contenders. Good news for Rosalia Genora. So the Polish rider should be able to take up a position in the field again. Now, she may miss this start. So now that Sara Zubarova has spotted her, they'll rotate one more time. And then hopefully this will be the start of the race. Because these guys have been going around in circles so many times. They're probably dizzy by now. So now Sara Zubarova leads them round. With Zheng, Kodorova, Kosteleczki, Sawangwan, Zhang, Ryska, Jorgenschila, Yuan, Li, Genora and Gao. All the contenders hoping for a solid race battle now. It's going to be a very tight run. So they're waiting for the signal to go racing. Are we going to understart as orders? Yes, we do, and it's a good start. A good launch forward as all the riders try and find a little bit of extra pace. Good launch from Barbara Kodorova, already taking on Zheng Jinghao and getting in front. So Kodorova is going to go side to side with Sara Zubarova as they work their way to the parallel for the first time. It's going to have to be a bit of hesitation from Kodorova. She doesn't want to go into the drink. And one goes left, one goes left as well. The others go right. As we see it, of course, it's right, right, left for them. But certainly a great start for Sara Zubarova. It'll also be really interesting to see how much ground Sebastian Kosteleczki can make up. 2 championships in one, of course, here as the junior boys go up against the junior girls. So really exciting racing. A fantastic situation for our contenders in the opening lap as everybody works their way through, but it's going to be tricky from here on. A little bit of a drop there for Sebastian Kosteleczki, but manages to save it. So it really is fascinating stuff at the moment. Still a good battle and really good dueling as they work their way up towards the long lap. Nobody's taking it at the moment. Pushing on to the far side, Sara Zubarova leads from Barbara Kodorova. Then in third position, it is Zheng Jinghao ahead of Ryder Sawangwan. Ryder Sawangwan, by the way, has decided to go on the long lap. So the American Ryder Sawangwan is the first one to take the long lap. They've only got 5 laps to do. And of course, 2 of those have got to be long laps. So obviously they have to time this to perfection. They have to be very careful about how they go about it. But as they work their way out of the parallel into the final couple of corners, they will cross the line to complete the second lap. And Sara Zubarova looks brilliant ahead of Barbara Kodorova at the moment, with Zheng Jinghao leading in the boys category. But it's the 2 fast females, 1 and 2. Sara Zubarova ahead of Barbara Kodorova. So the Slovakian ahead of the Czech. And then in third place, it's the Chinese racer Zheng Jinghao. So who is going to be the first one to take the leap of faith into the long lap? Sara Zubarova just being very careful. The waves are much choppier than they were yesterday, of course. So that makes the tactics difficult. Right, Sara Zubarova stayed on the course. Barbara Kodorova went for the long lap. And that's actually very good tactics from Barbara Kodorova. Do the opposite of what the leader does. She may be able to work out a faster route if she gets a little bit of open track. So there is Ryder Sawangwan, very talented young lad, pushing his way forward, trying to get closer to Sebastian Kosteleczki. The battle raging between the boys and the girls. They race together in the heats, but then they are separated for their own final come the finals later. But certainly at the moment, the girls seem to be faster than the boys around this particular course here at Macau. Zubarova and Kodorova doing a great job ahead of Zheng Jinghao, Sebastian Kosteleczki and Ryder Sawangwan. And after the difficulties earlier on with her fuel tank, Rosalia Janora, the Polish rider, is now right up in the top 6. So thank goodness they managed to get her going. Right, hand in the air for Barbara Kodorova. I think she's going around for her second long lap. And there is Ryder Sawangwan around on his second long lap as well. So a lot of these... Oh, someone went down in the drink, as there goes Sada Zubarova making her first long lap. So a couple of riders falling off the board there, hoping to try and get it back into position once more. But this is tricky stuff. Look at the waves, how they change and chop around. Thank goodness that the weather has been a little bit kinder to us in the last hour or so. It's finally stopped raining. It was a torrential downpour earlier on, as Ryder Sawangwan's got to be very careful how he pitches his way past Yan Liwen, but manages to get through past the Chinese rider. Here's the American. Ryder Sawangwan, number 253 in official competition, number 5 in this heat, doing a great job as he continues to work the magic. There in front is Max Hruska being chased down by Sada Zubarova, and behind that is the 2 of Zheng Jinghao. So Sada Zubarova not quite even now after the long laps. Still one more to do for Sada Zubarova, still leading the way, but when she makes her final long lap, it'll all settle itself out. But she was the leader at the start of the rotations, so she should well still be in the lead of it unless she drops down, pushing very hard out of the final turn and now closing up on Max Hruska. Now Max Hruska is actually not in front of Sada Zubarova. He's in danger of being lapped by her. So he's got to be very careful now. He's got his hand in the air quite the long way round by the look of it. So I'm not sure whether he's just trying to remind everybody I'm going for the long lap or whether he's trying to signal something else. But Sada Zubarova and Zheng Jinghao are right in here behind Sada Zubarova. And Zubarova is going to take her second long lap, and so too is Zheng Jinghao. So Zheng Jinghao pushing here to try and close up on Sada Zubarova, who is on her last lap, don't forget. And that is the hard push now out of the final couple of corners for Ryder Sawangwan to go across the line to get himself back into contention, up into P6 now, behind Rosalia Janora, after Li Mizheng and Gao Jin have taken their long laps. But for Sada Zubarova, this should be a fairly straightforward counter to the line. She's back on the course, having taken the long lap for the second time. There's a lot of traffic behind her, but she has dealt with it very admirably indeed. And so it's going to be Sada Zubarova working hard here in front of Zheng Jinghao, with Sebastian Kosteleczki and Barbara Kodorova having a great run. And who is that into the water? That is the 9. That is Yan Liwen, who was already a lap down. But here comes Sada Zubarova, the Slovakian rider, having a fantastic race here and absolutely perfect as she cruises home. No need to push any further. Just the last couple of boys round the far side, in through the left, and Sada Zubarova victorious in the final heat of Group A of the juniors. Excellent work from behind. As second across the line, that is Sebastian Kosteleczki in front of Zheng Jinghao, with Barbara Kodorova through in 4th position. So great work then from Sada Zubarova. Kosteleczki is second, Zheng Jinghao is third, Barbara Kodorova is 4th. But Sada Zubarova is the queen of speed here on the Macau water. Excellent performance from the Slovakian. And she finishes a full 5 seconds clear of everybody else. Ryder Sawangwan of America comes through in 5th place. Great ride from Rosalia Janora. She comes home in P6. So finally we get the 3rd heat for Group A of the juniors finished up. And it's a textbook ride for Sada Zubarova. There is Zheng Jinghao. Satisfied, I'm sure he'll have to be, with 3rd position. That's 2nd in the junior boys category. Another 14 points to add to his tally. But of course, this weekend, none of the scores are dropped. He looks physically fed up with 3rd position. I think he knows that a victory could well have been on the cards. But Sebastian Kosteleczki did a better job with him through the long laps. And Sada Zubarova did a better job than anybody as she cruises home, sat on the back of the board, just enjoying her finish to a fantastic run. There's the second group getting ready, Group B, including the championship leaders, Kristina Hybkova and Lukas Schneider. Championship leaders in both junior girl and junior boy. But a fantastic race and a very good ride indeed from Sara Zubarova. So as the race has now been completed by everybody, Sara Zubarova takes the win from Sebastian Kosteleczki. Third is Zheng Jinghao from Barbara Koronova in fourth. Ryder Samangwan P5 from Rosalia Janora. Then Li Jimeng in seventh ahead of Max Hrushka. Then Gao Jin. And the lap down we had Yan Luen, Zhang Rushan and Endo Jorgen Schiele. So now the final race of the day before we get to the finals, and this is going to be an exciting one because we're going to have the three best juniors that we've basically seen consistently all the way through this weekend in terms of raw pace. Kristina Hybkova, Lukas Schneider and Adam Kolar. Two boys and the lady champion in waiting, Kristina Hybkova. Looking very good indeed as she continues her run forward. But obviously, it's all going to come down to the last races of the day. That's when we'll crown our champions formally. So the contenders will put on a great show in the last race of the season. But obviously, that race for each class and each category is going to be coming up after this one. But thank goodness the rain has eased. It's much better to see how things have continued on in the latter stage of progression. But there is just one race left before we get to the big show. The finals are not too far away now. In this afternoon's program, we will have the finals in multiple categories before we get into the latter stages of the day's competition. So it's going to be a really interesting afternoon's program. We will start with the Masters. They will have 10 laps plus 2 long laps for their final, kicking off at 1 o'clock local time. Then we'll have the junior girls final. The junior boys final will be after that. Then the stock rookies will have their own individual race. Then the 12 remaining stock riders. And then we'll have the women's race, followed by the Kingdom of Awesomeness, the Elite, the Brinks Cup for the final time in 2024. Perfect opportunity for you to download the Brinks TV free-to-play app for those who are following the races very closely on your iOS or Android phones. Every race, you get the chance to pick who you think is going to be the race winner. And you can obviously participate for free. So the competitors now just being given one final crack at the dice now. And the riders are making their way to the waves for Group B, the third and final race for the Group B of juniors. So here in the Melco style Grand Prix of Macau, Macau's second Grand Prix nowadays. First time ever that we've raced in the UIM MotoSurf World Championships in Macau. First time in 5 years that we've raced in Asia. But it will be a fantastic conclusion as the juniors have one final chance to book themselves for a decent grid position for the final. And the Group B competitors line up as follows. Number 1 is Kristina Hybkova, the championship leader. 2 is Lukas Schneider, the leader in the boys category. 3 is Adam Kolar, the man who's already taken 2 fabulous victories over the course of the weekend. Laura Markova is in 4. 5 is Lin Ru Yang. 6 is Stanislav Kohut. 7 is Wang Zhizhuan. 8 is Nico Sawangwan. 9 is An Jihan. A is Yang Junhao. And B is Oliver Wolf. So for those who are watching MotoSurf for the first time, who are thinking, why do the numbers go up from 1 to 9 and then go to A, B, C? Well, it's quite simple. The numbers are printed on the shorts of the competitors 4 times, twice on the front legs, twice on the rear legs. So if we had double figures, it would get ridiculously confusing to try and figure out who's who. So instead of having that, we have just one clear digit for each competitor from 1 through 9, and then after that it goes to letters, which are far easier to read from a distance than 10, 11, 12 and 13 would be. It would be far too complicated once you started adding 2 digits to the shorts, and it's to make life easier for us to know who is who across the various competitions. So Kristina Hybkova, the Czech racer, on the verge of becoming World Junior Girl Champion in the UIM MotoSurf World Championship finale here in the Melco style Grand Prix of Macau. An opportunity here for her from the front, and she knows it. Lukas Schneider wants to do the same thing in junior boy. Starting in 2, These are obviously the qualifying heats. They score individual points for both the junior boy and junior girl categories. And then they will be separated into their own individual classes for their own finals. Looks like they're going to be sent around again. They have to obviously form up in V formation, a bit like the Mighty Ducks back in the day. And then once the race is started, they will get the signal from the jet ski, they will blow the whistle, they will drop the flag, and then they can get under racing conditions. But normally, the contenders will just be listening out for the whistle. So Hybkova, Schneider, Kolar, Markova, Lin, Kohut, Huang, Sawangwan, An, Yang, and Wolf. All 12 of our riders, 11 of our riders on this occasion, I should point out, very closely marked. All of them are going to go through to their own individual finals, but the positions they will do so very much determined by these heats. So as the contenders find themselves in the V, the jet ski obviously washes out in front of them. The key factor here in these races is to make sure you've got as much clear water in front of you as possible. You don't want to run through white water if you can help it. And they're going to go around again. So it's another false start here, I'm afraid, for the juniors. We're all sitting about the start-finish line waiting for these final races to get underway, and they're seeming to give us a lot more suspense. So fabulous situation then for all of the contenders. So it's a really interesting situation for all of the contenders then as they gear up and put on a final good show. So as they all finish off in good fashion, we're obviously going to wait for them all to finish off in a close proximity race battle. Let's see how it all transpires together. But it will be a very close finish to the finals here for the heats. Hybkova, Schneider, Kolar, Markova, Lin, Kohut, Huang, Sawangwan, and Yang and Wolf. All 11 riders in the V. And surely this is going to be the start now for Kristina Hybkova to control. Looks like everybody's in position. They are parallel to the jet ski. You can't see that on the cameras, but here we go for the last race before the finals. And look at the start from Lukas Schneider, already drawing level and going ahead potentially of Kristina Hybkova. These two are teammates, but racing in individual categories. But it looks like Hybkova has let it happen as both Lukas Schneider and Adam Kolar have got in front. And look on the far side, there's Lotta Markova. Markova's got ahead of Hybkova. So Lotta Markova has got into the lead of the ladies, but in the lead of the men's, it is Lukas Schneider ahead of Adam Kolar. So an incredible charge forward. And it's a great start for Lukas Schneider, but he's going to have pressure all the way from Adam Kolar. So the two Czech superstars in junior boy having a great race of it so far. Adam Kolar has been pretty much unbeatable so far in junior boy. And he will want to make it 3 out of 3. But what about this from Lotta Markova? Getting a much better start than Kristina Hybkova, who's been invincible most of the weekend. I'm not sure what's happened to Hybkova, but something is not quite right. She hasn't quite got the speed that she carried originally through the weekend. So it's definitely going to be a tricky one for all of the contenders as they continue to work forward. Skating through on the far side. Looking for a little bit more magic. There is the number 2. That's Lukas Schneider. Hugging the boys as he works his way through. Good battles. Still pushing very hard indeed as they continue to work further forward. So through the boys, it's going to be an interesting one. Hoping for a little bit more smart maneuvering. Working their way through the S's. And it's definitely starting to get a little bit more intense. But there is your man up front, Lukas Schneider. Still having a very solid race of it. How close was that for Adam Kolar? Very nearly dropping it through the penultimate turn. And as they go through at the end of the second lap, 3 laps to go, 2 of which have got to be long laps, of course, for all the contenders, because none of them have actually taken their long laps yet in the top 4. 5th position, by the way, is Lin Ruyang. And then it is Stanislav Kohut in front of Oliver Wolf, Nico Sawangwan, Yang Junhao, Huang Zhizhuan. And at the back it is An Jihan at the moment. Right, first one to blink then is the number 2. No surprises there. Leading the race, Lukas Schneider had the opportunity to go for the long lap first, and so he decides to do so. That leaves Adam Kolar with no choice but to carry on the course to try and undercut Lukas Schneider. So there is Adam Kolar, now in the lead of the race as he goes through to the parallels. but he's got to push here. He's got to hope that he can do a better job than Lucas Schneider. And don't forget, he's got 2 long laps to do. Lucas Schneider's got 1. So as he comes out of the parallels once again. Who's that that's in front of him? That is the 7. That's Huang Zhizhuan, who is actually a slower rider with the potential to hold up Adam Kolar at the worst possible moment. As there is Barbara Kolorova. Oh, sorry, that's Laura Markova, who is her teammate, actually. And now that's the number 2, Lucas Schneider. Has he just fallen? Let's have a look. Lucas Schneider, having taken the long lap. Oh my goodness, Lucas Schneider takes a face-first tumble. That's going to change the face of this race completely. So Schneider's got it going again. But I'm sorry to say that that's going to cost him a heck of a lot of time. So surely now that's Adam Kolar's opportunity to go into the lead. Now it's not over for Lucas Schneider because he's got back on the board. He's kept going, as they usually do. There is Laura Markova leading in the ladies category. Pushing hard indeed, but for this young man, Adam Kolar, this is a chance now. Stay on the board because you might just get a chance of the win as he works his way through the twisties. Now, is there going to be a chance to go for the long lap here? He's going to carry on another lap, so he's got 1 more to do after this one, which he will need to use to take the long lap. So that's the second one gone for both of these 2 riders. That's the B of Oliver Wolf, and I'm fairly sure that's also a second push lap now for Laura Markova. So Laura Markova, of course, was the leader in the ladies, in the junior girls before this point. Look at Adam Kolar, fully committed, trying everything he can to take advantage of the fact that Lucas Schneider has gone down, but he won't necessarily know that. He won't know that Lucas Schneider has fallen because it was on a different part of the course to where he was. So now he comes across the line to complete lap 4. And who is that in front of him? He doesn't want to get held up for too long here. That looks to me to be the number 4. There's the white flag lap. So that looks to me like Yang Junhao in front of Adam Kolar. It's not actually. It's actually Stanislav Kohut. Still one of the new faces in the junior boys. And there is the one. That is Kristina Hubkova. Hoping to finish things off and try and catch up a little bit more to Laura Markova. But there is Adam Kolar, who goes into the long lap for the last time on the last lap. So this is all about patience now for Adam Kolar. Can he get the job done? Just needs to be tidy on the final tour, as there is Kristina Hubkova. Now, where does Kristina Hubkova filter? Oh, Kristina Hubkova's gone down. So that is a big mistake there. Oh, no, my apologies. It's not Hubkova. It's actually Laura Markova. So Laura Markova, who was leading in the ladies category. Kristina Hubkova's still upright. There she is, going through the parallels. So who's going to get the victory? Is it going to be Kristina Hubkova now that she comes through? I think it is, because Adam Kolar is behind. So there is the position. Over the line comes Kristina Hubkova, and that is the victory. There is Adam Kolar, who lost a bit of time in the twisties. So it's going to be Kristina Hubkova then that takes the victory in the juniors for the final heat. But Adam Kolar is going to get the junior boy victory. So through he will come after a very tough race indeed. Lucas Schneider making his mistake, Laura Markova making hers. So it's going to be victory then in junior boy for Adam Kolar. Once again, he's been so calm and patient, and he's made it work out in his favour. And there in position, coming across the line, is the 8 of Nico Sawangwan. He looks fairly dejected, I have to say. Made a couple of mistakes and has finished a little bit further back in position. Hang on a minute. Is Nico Sawangwan going to come through? I'm trying to figure out where Sawangwan's come through. Well, Markova's come through for 3rd. Lin Ruyang has come through for P4. So it was a really big problem for Lucas Schneider. I think he actually had to finish that race without his face mask, because it's been very slow for him. Lucas Schneider comes home for 5th position in the end. But it's victory for these two. Adam Kolar, number 3, gets the boys' victory. Kristina Hubkova, number 1, gets the girls' victory. Excellent work. Yang Junhao comes home in 6th place. Stanislav Kohut in 7th, ahead of Oliver Wolf. And then it is going to be the last 3 races in behind of An Jihan, Nico Sawangwan, and Huang Zhizhuan. Well, that's it for the moment then, as the competitors in juniors come back to the shore. It's going to be a fantastic situation as they continue. Well, I am being told actually that we were informed that the juniors are not going to be the last one on the ball after all. Apparently the Masters are going to get their races in once again now. So I'm being informed that apparently the Masters Heat 3 are going to get their heat in. So the competitors in junior are just getting themselves together to have a conversation about how tricky the conditions are. But looking down on the beach, yeah, I can see the Masters. There they are. So the Masters are gearing up for their heat after all then. So they clearly feel that they want to go racing. Okay, well, the Masters are looking like they are going to get themselves out then for the last time before their race. It looks like there is just going to be enough time in the schedule then to allow this to happen. We've obviously got to try and keep as close to the schedule as humanly possible. Don't forget, of course, that there is supposed to be a break and a briefing before we get to the finals as well. But the Masters seem to think that they're in good position to make this happen. So, okay, we'll allow the Masters to have one final crack at the last heat of the day. They are getting ready in position. You can see the number 3 rider there, Kim Young-boom, for Korea, hoping to push his way further forward. He's been one of the most spectacular riders of the weekend so far, it has to be said. So hopefully there's going to be a lot of great opportunities for the contenders as they continue to move forward. But it really is going to be a scintillating battle for the contenders. As the weather has finally started to become a little bit easier for the riders here in the mix. But still the contenders will have their final 2 races. It'll be the battle between Kim Down, Denny Kosteleczki and Kim Young-boom in the first group. In the second group, it's going to be Petr Fatasek, Jiří Blaha and Jiří Stovacek. Just making some adjustments there to the boat that obviously monitors the safety implications. So we're getting ourselves geared up and ready for the final 2 heats then of the Melco style Grand Prix of Macau before we get to the finals. Big chances for some exciting battles in the closing stages of these qualifying heats, and of course these will decide and determine the lineups for the finals later on. So I think what that means then is essentially we'll go back to the original format of the finals. If the Masters are going to get their 3rd heat, then we should have junior boys, junior girls, Masters, stock rookies, stock women and elite to go to battle. So here come the Masters. They will venture their way out into the ocean again then to get their first of their 2 last qualifying heats, as it makes sense from that point. And the Masters, of course, are the contenders who will battle for one final time to put themselves into position on their starting grid. So it'll be Group A, 11 riders that will go to battle in the first group, 12 riders will go to battle in the second group. But the riders are now venturing into the ocean, and it's this man, Kim Down, that will lead them out. A great charge forward in Masters then for these 2 competitions, as everybody gearing up for a good show. There is Roman Kojon, getting himself ready for the charge forward as the number 4 rider in this race. Shirt number 96, of course, that's his official signature number compared to the numbers that they race in when they go into individual race heats. So that's the key difference there. They have their own official numbers that they race in, a bit like the way that Max Verstappen, Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton have their own signature race numbers. But in each individual heat, so that we can determine who each of them are at a distance, they obviously have the numbers that are pinned to the shorts. And it has to be single digit because they're printed twice on the front end of the shorts and twice on the rear end of the shorts. That's why we don't go from beyond 1 to 9 into 10, 11, 12, 13, because it would just make it impossible to differentiate rider from different rider. So that's why we go from 1 to 9 and then go to letters, because it's far easier to distinguish single digits of any kind than it is to differentiate 2. So the starting lineup then for Heat 3 Group A as Kim Down signals them to go around another time. It's going to be a very competitive lineup. Kim Down of Korea at the starting grid at the top. 2 is going to be Denny Kostelechki. 3 is Kim Yong-bum. 4 is Roman Kojon. 5 is Jano Vankersbilk. 6 is Roman Lišau-Kratešvili. 7 is Ivan Marusek. 8 is Paul Tori. 9 is Yang Chan-hao. A is Kim Do-woon. And B is Kamil Schneider. So the riders will run in very close proximity again as they tour around, hoping for another solid battle. Very much not going to be easy to see how everybody pitches themselves in for another great showcase. But we're going to have a really tough race battle all the way through. And we will see some fantastic performances from all of the contenders as they gear up into position. Now they will run in the V. And hopefully this is going to be a very close run contest. So let's see how it all plays out then for our competitors who will race and charge forward for a tight race battle. So all the contenders in Masters then pitching to get themselves back into position once more. So now it's all down to Kim Down, who will lead them around. Is he going to go around for another race run? Now we're going to go into position as they charge forward. And it's a cracking start from around the outside again from Kim Yong-bum, who charges forward into second position. There was a little uncertainty on that start by the look of it, but a very slow launch then from Denny Kostelechki, and it looks like he could get overtaken here by Roman Kojon as they go through to the parallels for the first time. And look at Kim Yong-bum. He really wants to take on Kim Down. The two Koreans are going to be absolutely on the lock stops as they push each other, charging their way forward. But it's Kim Down at the moment from Kim Yong-bum. So still they push on. Very tricky situation for them as they continue to work their magic. Working their way through the Titan Twisties. Not easy to see who's going to get the best of it. But everybody still close together. Left, right, just trying to pitch where the races are going to go over the course of these first couple of laps. Nobody really going for the long lap nice and early as Kim Down continues to hold his position right up at the sharp end. Looking for a very solid race of it. Kim Down, one of the top competitors in this championship, having wrapped up the Masters category title mathematically, but he'll still want to do a good job in the final race. Looks like we've already had Kim Yong-bum, I think, already trying to attack to go for the long lap nice and early on the second lap of racing here. So with only 6 laps in these races, they've obviously got to take the long lap 2 occasions. So it's quite important that they time it right, but certainly with this man, Kim Yong-bum, wanting to attack, it's going to be interesting to see how it's all worked out. Well, actually, I think it might have been Roman Kojon that actually took the long lap on the previous occasion, because Kim Yong-bum is still there in second place trying to chase down our race leader, Kim Down. So I think it might have been Roman Kojon, actually, that took the long lap the last time. Right, he rejoins in 4th, having originally been as high as 3rd. So now we're watching the contenders fight their way around. Let's get to see a replay, and that is Kim Down having a bit of a moment, was it? Oh, that's the person just in our foreground, actually. Going down in the parallels as well. So we've had a couple of falls already, and I think that might have been Kim Do-woon. So there is Kim Down, having a good run. And that's the A rider in front. That is Kim Do-woon, who's trying to get a lap on him, and no problems at all to finish that job. So the Korean who leads the way has got past the Korean that was in his way. No problem at all for Kim Down at the moment. Second position for a long, long time in that race, of course, Kim Yong-bum. Denny Kostelechki trying to get himself back into the height as well. And watch out for the likes of Roman Lišau-Kratešvili, the Austrian, and Jano Vankersbilk, the Belgian. Now, that's a little bit of a slow trajectory for Kim Yong-bum. Has he just come off a long lap, or has he just made a mistake somewhere? So it looks like it's been a little bit of a hesitant run there for Kim Yong-bum. This is not the aggression we're used to see from him. So I wonder if something's happened. Meanwhile, Kim Down is on the long lap. So he pushes in on the far side. He has his hand in the air there, just to try and remind any riders that are going to join the circuit with him, here I come. Make sure you keep an eye on me, but there was nobody there, so he didn't have to worry. So Kim Down, just trying to keep it nice and tidy. Obviously, there's no issues with having a hand in the water if it can help you get round the corner a little bit better. No issues at all with doing that. Just helps you get a little bit more stable balance in the left-hand turns. So through they go, in the parallels. It just helps the rider with a little bit of extra stability, a bit like having a tricycle wheel balancing the board as it goes through. There is Kim Yong-bum. That's the second time, I think, going through the long lap for him. And there is the number 2 rider. That is Denis Kosteleczki, who is currently running in second position. So Denis Kosteleczki having a very smooth ride of it at the moment. That's what you need. You don't want to be held up too much in whitewater wash. Just want to make sure you've got yourself a very decent and clear water path in front of you. So it really is going to be very tight indeed to see how the contenders run. But Kim Down looks like he's got this race very much in his mode. Now he goes for the long lap. So Kim Down, that's the second time of asking as well, because he's on his 5th lap. So he's obviously taken both his long laps with fair time to spare. So for Kim Down, it looks fairly neat and tidy for him. And there is the number 4. That is Roman Kojon, who had his very early long lap. Let's see how he filters back into the fray. So that is Roman Kojon. Now, who's that right behind him? That is Kim Down after the second long lap. Well, that is fascinating. Roman Kojon may have pulled a bit of a fast one here because he pulled a very early long lap. I think he's done his second long lap as well. So now Kim Down, if he's going to win this race, he's actually going to have to overtake Roman Kojon on pure speed. The best way to do it is here in the parallels. So can he get it done? Roman Kojon may have pulled a real fast one on Kim Down, who's been dominant all weekend. Can Roman Kojon stop him in his tracks? At the moment, the answer is yes. Kojon is in front. So if Roman Kojon can hold on to this, he's going to steal a very popular victory ahead of Kim Down, who's been the master of masters all weekend long. But Kojon really has got himself into a neat rhythm. He's managed to find a good path that works for him, and he is indeed leading the race ahead of Kim Down. Now that is the A rider behind them. That is Kim Do-woon. But here is Roman Kojon. Kim Down appears to be chilling out here a little bit now in second place. He doesn't seem to be attacking the corners quite as much. Oh no, there is Roman Kojon on the second long lap. That's why Kim Down is not pushing too hard. I thought that Roman Kojon had been very crafty indeed, but he'd only taken one long lap. So that's why Kim Down is not pushing hard at all. Behind him is the A, that is Kim Do-woon. He doesn't need to be too pragmatic about things here. Kim Down is just looking behind him, looking around. Well, who's near me? Nobody. So I'll just cruise home, thanks. I won't push any harder than I have to. So it's going to be Denis Kosteleczki, I think, that'll come home in second in front of Kim Yong-bum. And then Roman Kojon. There he is. So Kojon has rejoined the field, right in behind Kim Yong-bum in third position. So it's going to be Kim Down who crosses the finish line with the victory. Here he comes. It's been plain sailing for Kim Down all the way, and he will take a very popular victory as he gets the triple. Kim Down in fantastic fashion, victorious in the Masters. Great run. And here is Denis Kosteleczki to come through in second position, having had a very tidy race there in P2. No worries at all for Denis. Third position will be Kim Yong-bum, and he will stay in front of Roman Kojon. Hang on a minute. Just double checking, and yes it was, but Jano Vankersbilk came very close there to catching Kojon on the line. Well, that was a very tight end to the race there, but Kim Down, full of confidence, full of dominance, 13 seconds clear of Denis Kosteleczki. From Kim Yong-bum, Roman Kojon, and Jano Vankersbilk. The top 5 finish in the top 5 positions. So with Kim Down pretty much nailing pole position to the mast for the Masters finals later, we're going to use that opportunity to take a pause in proceedings. We will be back, and when we return, it's finals time.